But deep in his subconscious, a voice echoed, "You are from another world." Minjun's image flashed in his mind, and his consciousness was yanked back, causing Lee Sung-min to startle awake. He found himself in an unfamiliar place, a peaceful village nestled among green mountains. Minjun stood before him, scratching his head awkwardly. Where to begin? I know you must be very confused, but please calm down and listen to me. Lee Sung-min frantically checked his body, but was immediately scolded by Minjun. I told you to calm down. What are you doing taking your shirt off all of a sudden? The man focused on explaining. This world is called Eria. It has swords, magic, and countless species of demons and monsters. Because of that, it's a world where everyone must fight to survive. An ambitious world that constantly summons outsiders from every dimension. And this is the first place the summoned people arrive, Xenaviss. An old-fashioned townscape opens up. Xenaviss, the starting town. Minjun curiously asked, Have you ever learned martial arts or magic before? Lee Sung-min shook his head in confusion. Never. What are those? The man glanced at him. So you're a no class. Lee Sung-min still didn't understand. It's just a title. Follow me, Minjun said coldly. I'll explain on the way. What's your name? He hesitated. Lee Sung-min. Minjun repeated, Lee Sung-min, right? Sung-min. I can't just leave you like this. You must be hungry, right? Let's talk while we eat. I'll explain everything about this world, Eria, to you. A glimmer of warmth rose in his heart. He said softly, Thank you. Minjun replied politely, It's nothing. Seeing that Lee Sung-min seemed thirsty, he handed him a bottle of water. Here, drink this. He took it and said politely, Thank you. He was immediately cut off. No need to thank me. Before the words were even finished, Lee Sung-min had already chugged it down. He swished the water in his mouth, just as the man turned around. He was met with a sudden spray of water right in his face. Minjun cried out in pain, cursing non-stop. Ah, my eyes, you bastard! What the hell do you think you're doing? He bluntly feigned innocence. Isn't this goblin paralysis poison? He spat out the rest of the water in his mouth. This poison is colorless and odorless, but there's no mistaking that foul stench. When the poison touches the tongue, it makes it swell. If it gets in the eyes, the swelling is even worse. He then poured the remaining water on the man's face. You were trying to lure naive newcomers. And sell them into slavery, weren't you? Minjun struggled. How did you bastard! You're not a new summon! He threw the man into the air, replying indifferently. No, I was just summoned. As a no-class. Just as the man landed, before he could even breathe, he took a full kick to the stomach. Lee Sung-min glanced at the dagger revealed in the man's pocket and said in a cold voice, But I have 13 years of experience living here. Quick as a flash, he snatched the dagger, decisively raising it high. Then Lee Sung-min looked down, threateningly. Don't you know the rules of Eria? Don't trust others so easily. The moment the words left his mouth, the dagger fell. Blood splattered. He said sarcastically, What a trash world. Looking at the reward that appeared, Lee Sung-min couldn't help but feel disappointed. He didn't even have that much money. 100,000 and one dagger? That's it? Although he said that, his hands still put the items away. Oh well, it's better than nothing. But I've already checked this body. Lee Sung-min squeezed his hands. No scars, no muscles. I've returned to when I was 13 years old, back when I was first summoned to Eria. He remembered an event. It must be because of that item. The memories flooded back. His name was Lee Sung-min, 27 years old, a C-rank mercenary, a summon with a low-class life, just barely earning enough to survive day by day in Eria. He had no talent or good background, no matter how hard he tried. He could never reach the top. Day by day, he looked for a way to escape this suffocating life, and he had grasped a slim chance. He had found an undiscovered dungeon. After efforts paid for with blood and tears, Lee Sung-min found a treasure chest. He opened it with boundless hope, but inside there was only a single stone. He could only carry it with him, not knowing how to use it. But it activated the regression stone. The regression point, 13 years in the past. Lee Sung-min mused, I saw that notification before I died. All in all, it was a regression stone, a stone that allowed the user to return to the past. He felt a surge of excitement. Then perhaps... He immediately opened his status window. Lee Sung-min. Class? No class. Traits? None. Skills? None, Lee Sung-min thought in frustration. Nothing's changed at all. The stats are exactly the same as when I was first summoned to Eria. What was the point of regressing? But I still have my memories of the past 13 years. Though not perfectly clear, I still remember the important events. Moreover, as a no class, there are some things I can do. And so he found himself at the bone reconstruction clinic. Lee Sung-min remembered clearly. There were many types of people from other worlds summoned to Eria. There were mages who used magic, martial artists with powerful skills, and among them, the largest group was people like him. No class. To put it simply, they were blank slates who could learn anything and gain special growth bonuses. It sounds great, but in reality, they were the lowest-level individuals in the Eria ecosystem, possessing no abilities whatsoever. They might even die before achieving anything in Eria. He was also a no-class who lived the life of a C-rank mercenary, enduring all sorts of hardship and ridicule for 13 years. And in the end, he died. It was a pathetic life, without a single achievement to his name. So, Wai-Jian asked him again, "You want me to reconstruct your bones?" Lee Sung-min nodded decisively. "Yes, this time, no matter what it takes, I have to become strong." After leaving the clinic, a notification panel appeared. "You have obtained a low-grade martial skeleton. You have obtained the true heavenly arts technique. You can feel pleased with yourself now. I now have 2 of the 3 chances to improve my pathetic self from 13 years ago in Xenaviss. A martial skeleton is a frame that allows the user to learn martial arts. I still remember that around this time, an acupuncturist named Huin Gu could create artificial martial skeletons. Although it was painful, it was free of charge, mainly for advertising purposes. This was my first chance. One of the conditions to receive a martial skeleton was to be no class and have no skills. In the past, I couldn't get one because I had already learned a skill, before I even knew about it. But in this life, I will meet every single condition to obtain a low-grade martial skeleton. A low-grade martial skeleton is the ideal frame to learn martial arts. I'll learn them much faster than any ordinary person. Lee Sung-min looked at his new body and thought to himself, "This healer will die in an accident soon, so not many no classes will get this opportunity. Now that I have the martial skeleton and the no class bonus, I'll get stronger in no time." The second chance is the amethyst cloud technique. It's a skill that allows the user to gather internal energy, the most basic cultivation technique. There are many types of cultivation techniques, and they're ranked by the stability and speed of internal energy development. Lee Sung-min tried to remember its hidden location from his past life. The cultivation technique I learned was a second-rate one, but there's a first-rate cultivation manual hidden in an old library in Xenaviss. The library owner knows nothing of its value, so it's sold for a ridiculously cheap price. For only 40,000 Eri, I bought the amethyst cloud technique from Seo-jun. And just like that, of the 3 opportunities I missed in my past life, I've already secured 2 of them, just one day after being summoned. The third opportunity is the prize from a tournament held in the Grand Arena a year from now. Lee Sung-min thought to himself as he walked. The standards for the match aren't high since only no classes can participate. It's best that I have this 1 year. I have to stay in Xenaviss to improve my skills. For now, I need a decent amount of money for lodging. I need to make at least 30,000 Eri a day. If I want to earn money while improving my skills, then I have to hunt monsters. His train of thought paused as he arrived at Han's place. The man frowned and asked, "What is it, kid? You want to buy something?" Lee Sung-min crouched down. "This shield would suit me, wouldn't it?" Han nodded. "Yeah. This shield was used by an adventurer about your size, but he kicked the bucket a long time ago. Pick whatever you like." But instead he pointed at a coat, a spear, and a throwing knife. "I want to buy these." With a completely straight face, Han asked suspiciously, I'll sell them, but do you even have the money?" Lee Sung-min replied enthusiastically, "I have 60,000 Eri." Before he could finish his sentence, Han waved him away. "Go play somewhere else, kid. These cost 300,000 Eri in total." "Go on, don't stand here scaring away my customers." The boy shamelessly lingered. "Can I buy them on credit?" The old man immediately warned him. "Scram if you don't want a beating." The boy hesitated, then pointed at himself. "In that case, I'll sell my clothes. How much will you give me?" Lee Sung-min started using his silver-tongued sales pitch. "They're definitely very valuable. because this is high-quality material from another dimension. I'm sure someone will like this style of clothing. If you find the right place to sell them, 300,000 is nothing. Just as he thought he was about to close the deal, a loud laugh erupted. Han mocked him. What's with this kid? Still trying to act all innocent? Now why the long face? He asked directly. You're a no-class, aren't you? Looking so green. You want me to take pity on you and sell them cheap, right? Lee Sungmin didn't hesitate and quickly replied, That would be great. Han laughed until he cried. This shameless bastard. He generously extended his hand. All right, you can have them on credit. Take them. I don't need your filthy clothes. Ha, he said, half joking. I really like the spirit of rats struggling in despair. Even if you're a no-class, don't go dying a pointless death. Who knows, you might become a regular of mine. Once you get the money, remember to come back and pay me the 240,000 Eri. Lee Sungmin gratefully accepted them. Thank you. Finally, fully equipped, he headed for the monster hunting grounds. He touched his new items, thinking with satisfaction, survival rates depend heavily on whether or not you have armor, even if it's just a thin layer of armor. I had to take the risk to get it. An opportunity this good won't come again. I guess I'm really lucky in this life. Eria is not an easy place to live, after all. He probably wants to get on my good side. Stab me in the back, perhaps? In any case, I must remain vigilant. Lee Sungmin ventured deep inside. There was no one else here. He mused, Now I'm at the hunting grounds. I suddenly remembered the first time I came here, 13 years ago. Comparing my timid self from back then to my now more proficient self, Lee Sungmin mocked himself. Back then, I was just a pathetic loser. A series of notifications rang out, pulling him back to the present. You have reacquired Shadowless Phantom Steps. You have reacquired Iron Bone Fierce Fist. You have reacquired Stone Shattering Palm. You have reacquired Soul Chasing Spear. He kept searching until dusk began to fall. A sound of rushed footsteps cut through the wind. Lee Sungmin had found a monster. It turned around, startled, only to see him charging with the soul-chasing spear. Before it could react, the spear tip pierced straight through its throat, sending it flying backward. Lee Sungmin knelt, confirming the monster was dead before feeling a sense of relief. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through him. He looked down at his hand. A large burn mark was etched deep into his skin. Only then did he remember. One-hit kill is a spear-throwing technique for the left hand. If used bare-handed, it will cause a burn. But he just clicked his tongue. Oh well, no pain, no gain. He clenched his fist and thought with confidence, even if this regression turns out to be useless, a new journey has begun. Lee Sungmin finally collected enough items. It was late at night when he returned to the inn. Jack greeted him with a friendly smile. Sungmin, you're back? Lee Sungmin walked over, holding a large cloth bag. Yeah, Jack Ajushi. This is for today's lodging fee. You seem curious about what's inside. You placed the heavy bag on the table just like usual. Jack observed the bag and asked with interest, all right. But where did you get that dimensional pouch? That thing's gotta be worth around 1.5 million, you know. Lee Sungmin answered honestly. A merchant took pity on me and sold it to me for cheap. Jack eagerly checked the items inside. Really? You've got a knack for business, kid. Let's see, goblin teeth and body fluids. After a moment of calculation, he made a decision. With this stuff, I'll let you stay here for 2 days. If you sold this to the Mages Guild, they wouldn't give you nearly this much. He counted again, then nodded. Yep, this is enough. But you know, I find you truly amazing. This made Lee Sungmin stop in his tracks. Amazing in what way? Jack recalled a few days ago when he was just a classless kid. You came to my inn and made a crazy proposal. You asked if you could use items dropped from monsters to pay for your lodging. I thought for sure you'd be dead soon. But it's already been 2 weeks. And every single day you've hunted monsters and brought back a ton of loot. Jack couldn't hide his admiration. You're amazing. Truly amazing. Would you call this a natural-born talent? A normal, classless person could never be as good as you. Jack laughed even louder. With a talent like that, and you could become someone like John, right? But he suddenly realized Lee Sungmin was leaving. Hey, where are you going? We were in the middle of a conversation. Lee Sungmin was already heading up the stairs. Without looking back, he left only a single sentence behind. I'm going to rest. Remembering what Jack had just said, he clenched his fist. Talent? That's really not the right word for me because I'm completely useless. After all the suffering I went through, I ended my previous life as a mere C-rank mercenary. He checked his status window again. Lee Sungmin, classless. Trait, low-rank martial artist, skills 4-star spirit spear, 2-star shadowless phantom steps, 2-star blood iron skin, 2-star stone shattering palm. He was lost in thought. Spirit spear, shadowless phantom steps, blood iron skin, stone shattering palm. These are all martial arts I learned in my past life, thanks to the trait from Eria. I can learn other martial arts just by remembering how they work. I can get them back easily, but... Lee Sungmin frowned. They're just second-rate martial arts, he calculated silently. No matter how hard I train in these arts, and I'll never be able to walk my own path. His gaze stopped at the data. 2-star stone shattering palm, 2-star 9 heavens divine art. He just hoped he could learn the first-rate cultivation technique, 9 heavens divine art. Lee Sungmin slowly sat down. But a cultivation technique is still just a cultivation technique. It must have its limits, right? He closed his eyes, focused his mind, and began to circulate his energy. I need to learn more, stronger martial arts. The next day, someone called out, stopping him. Sungmin, Lula asked worriedly, are you heading into the forest again? She nagged. Why do you keep hunting in the forest? You never know when you might die. Lee Sungmin replied coldly. Because I'm someone from another world here. If I want to survive, I have to hunt monsters for money. To his surprise, Lula stepped in front of him and said gently, Are you an idiot? Even if you're from another world, why don't you just find a different job? Why don't you work at our inn? My father seems to like you a lot too. Lee Sungmin immediately shook his head. No, I don't know how to cook or clean. Lula kept trying to persuade him. I just don't get it. Instead of risking your life like this, you could live safely while you learn how to work at the inn. That would probably be better. Lee Sungmin didn't answer. He turned and walked away. I'll be back in the evening. This made Lula yell after him angrily, Hey! Lee Sungmin remembered the things he did in his past life. A wave of hatred rose within him. Just like that. And I lived a life of being exploited by others. I can't do that again. But a glint of determination flashed in my eyes. This time, I won't live like that anymore. Because this time, I will strive to achieve everything I've ever dreamed of. I'll do whatever it takes to make it a reality. I will live a better life than my last one. A clear bell chimed in the wind. Lee Sungmin had reached the center of town. He looked up towards the sound of the bell. It was time to summon a new person from another world. The summoning gate opened, immediately catching his attention. Hoyon appeared in the middle of a spatial vortex. Lee Sungmin silently sized up the kid. Is that kid a martial artist? Someone my age. He let out a soft sigh. That kid must be so confused. Can't be helped. If the kid acts like that, then he'll definitely be approached by some thugs. And just as I thought, 2 guys holding bottles walked up to Hoyon. Look, here they come. Drink this bottle. Is this some kind of popular trick nowadays? He hesitated, wondering if he should step in to help. After a moment of internal struggle, he decisively turned away. None of my business. Who would have thought his forehead would slam into something as hard as a rock? Lee Sungmin rubbed his head, dazed. I'm sorry. Looking up, he recognized an old acquaintance, Min Jun. The guy smirked, radiating killing intent. I think you broke my collarbone. Before he could finish, a fist slammed straight into Lee Sungmin's face. He was stunned. What? His body was sent flying more than 10 meters. A curious crowd stirred, gathering around. Meanwhile, Min Jun, feigning innocence, turned and waved his hand. Oh, it's nothing. This guy is a comrade of mine. This idiot broke my bone, see? I'm just teaching him. A lesson to get some compensation for the damages. I hope you'll all just leave us be. The crowd understood and quietly dispersed. From a distance, Ji-hun's voice called out, Big bro, what's going on over there? Min Jun laughed loudly. He broke my collarbone, so I'm just gonna break his bones, that's all. Lee Sungmin gritted his teeth and backed away. Don't tell me they're in the same gang. What terrible luck. And that clumsy punch was definitely some kind of martial art. This bastard. Ji-hun's voice rang out again. Aren't those your ribs, big bro? Min Jun advanced menacingly. Is that so? Then I'll just break both! Lee Sungmin's intuition screamed at him. This is a third-rate martial artist. You can tell a fighter's rank by their martial arts. Third rate is the lowest rank, and even if you've only mastered a little bit of martial arts, you can still achieve that rank without much time. However, I'm the one who's regressed, because I can't even reach third rate. Damn it, this is dangerous. He quickly calculated. I can't take him down by myself. With how heartless the people of Xenaviss are, no one's going to help me. Lee Sung-min then shouted at Hoyon, "Hey, don't drink that water! It's got a paralyzing poison in it!" Hoyon froze, staring intently at him. Lee Sung-min gritted his teeth and prayed. He's too young, so I can't expect any help from him. But he looks like he comes from the martial world, so he must be able to do something. Hoyon immediately poured all the water from the bottle onto the ground. On the other side, Min-jun had arrived in front of him, threatening in a low voice. For a guy with a pretty face, you're doing something really stupid. You'd be perfect to sell to those nobles with peculiar tastes. The moment the words left his mouth, he lifted his leg to kick. Lee Sung-min was shocked. I can't let it end like this. Not to a guy like him, not in a place like this. Quick as a flash, he activated his skill. Light step body art, dodging to the side before the guy could react. Next up, blood iron hardened outer bone, a sideways elbow strike to say goodbye. Min-jun's ribs caved in from the blow. Seeing this, the whole gang shouted in alarm, "Big bro!" He didn't stop. Stone fling palm rained down continuously. Min-jun was knocked far back. The guy laughed loudly. I guess you've learned some martial arts too, huh? He stood up without a single scratch and said, It didn't work at all. He was shaken. Damn it, his body is as hard as a rock. I think he's learned some kind of external arts. When it comes to the weight and muscle strength of a kid, there's not much I can do with martial arts. Suddenly, Seung-hyun on the other side waved his hand and shouted, Hey, I don't care how bad the Xenaviss guards are. But if we cause a scene, they'll show up eventually, Ji-hoon replied. Got it. Let's just finish this. By now, Lee Sung-min was at his limit, while Hoyon remained completely unfazed. Seeing Min-jun closing in, he decided that he couldn't possibly defeat him with just his bare hands. I need to use my spear. Just as he pulled the spear from its sheath, a voice rang out. Hoyon, standing close by, asked quietly, What was that you said earlier? Say it again. The close proximity made Lee Sung-min freeze for a moment. He fumbled, glancing at her while also worrying about the incoming punch. What? Wait a second, just a second. Suddenly, Hoyon swung her hand, lightly touching Min-jun. 2 words escaped her lips. Pathetic. With just a single palm strike, she sent the man flying into the air. Hoyon said coldly, How dare a piece of scum like you try to strike me? So disrespectful. Seeing Min-jun crash into the group of lackeys behind him, Lee Sung-min was shaken. What did that kid just do? An attack with a palm infused with internal energy? That's not the level of a second-rate or even a first-rate warrior. Looking at Hoyon's form, Lee Sung-min silently assessed her to be a supreme master. Wait a minute. She's my age and a supreme master? And she was summoned at the same time as me? That can't be possible. Hoyon's voice softened. I don't know where this is. Can you tell me about it? In his memories, the demonic sect represented the unorthodox factions. They worshipped strength itself. The strongest person in the sect would become the leader of the demonic sect and be called the heavenly demon. That person's child would be called the young master. A young master from another world. She is a little heavenly demon. From a young age, she was able to use supreme-level martial arts. She came to Eria as someone from another world, and she became famous throughout Eria. She was the same age and was summoned at the same time as Lee Sung-min, but the gap between them was so vast that Lee Sung-min couldn't even dare to look up at her. His eyes widened. Weiji Hoyon. The person in front of him introduced herself amicably. I am Weiji Hoyon. I am 13 years old. Lee Sung-min was stunned to realize she was now in his room. He stammered, I'm Lee Sung-min. I'm 14 years old. He was horrified inside. She's a year younger than me. Hoyon chuckled softly. I see. Lee Sung-min, you told me something very interesting. This world, Eria. You said this place is completely different from my world, didn't you? She mused. Is there no demonic sect here? Lee Sung-min nodded. That's right. A clear laugh rang in his ear. I see. I understand now. She continued to ask, Lee Sung-min, what was it you shouted at me in the square earlier? Lee Sung-min stammered, it was, Hey, don't drink that water. It has a paralyzing poison in it, I think. Hoyon laughed even louder. This bastard is so arrogant. How dare you speak to me so disrespectfully, huh? This scared Lee Sung-min to death. He bowed his head deeply and said reverently, I apologize. I did not know you were the young master. I did not mean to be so disrespectful to you, milady. Inside, he was cursing nonstop. Damn it all to hell! I can't believe I'm bowing to a 13-year-old kid. Hoyon stopped laughing. She looked at him in silence for a long time, her eyes glinting with amusement. Then, she pointed at him and said, I saw you using martial arts earlier. Lee Sung-min trembled. Yes, she said mockingly. Your martial arts are utter trash, and the way you use them is so clumsy. In what world did you learn those kinds of techniques? He forced a stiff smile. Perhaps I understand what you mean, milady. Before he could finish, Hoyon stepped forward sincerely. I will teach you martial arts. The room instantly fell silent. Lee Sung-min was stunned, his throat tight. Hoyon continued, her tone firm. If I personally teach you, it doesn't matter how clumsy you are. You will still be able to improve. At this, Lee Sung-min finally came to his senses, his voice trembling. You will teach me martial arts? Hoyon pointed at him. Yes, but I need one thing. I have one condition. Hearing this, Lee Sung-min broke out in a cold sweat. What condition? Hoyon suddenly broke into a bright smile and offered the deal. And that is, to become my friend. Just that one sentence sent him from one shock to another. A childish voice echoed, Father! A young Hoyon continued innocently, I want to have a friend. Hack asked in a stern voice, A friend? Where did you learn about such a thing? Hoyon excitedly showed off to her father, From a book I just read. The book says that if I have a friend, I'll be able to overcome any hardship in the world. He replied slowly, That is not wrong, on the condition that you are just an ordinary person. Suddenly, Hack roared sternly, But you are the one who will succeed me and rule over the demons! Once you walk the path of a ruler, you have no need for friends. Now that you understand my words, go and train harder. The sudden words startled Hoyon. She quickly replied, I understand, father. Then she turned and ran away in fear. Hack watched his daughters retreating back, lost in thought for a long time. Even though I said that, how shameful. Hack let out a soft sigh. During combat practice, most of the captured humans were useless, but around 50 of them, all were eliminated by a 10-year-old child. Even though she is my daughter, the skills she possesses are truly terrifying. He frowned in contemplation. It's just a bit unfortunate. If only... Back in the present, Hoyon sincerely made her offer. Become my friend. Born as the heir to the demonic sect, she was raised with immense expectations placed upon her. Hack was always strict with her. Please sit cross-legged again, young master. The training sessions took place from the time she was very young. Because of that, Hoyon never had time to make friends. Lee Sung-min, surprised, pointed at himself. A friend? Why me all of a sudden? Hoyon replied innocently, Aren't people of the same age all friends with each other? There really was no logical explanation for this. And so, the two of them successfully came to an agreement. Hoyon looked cheerfully into Lee Sung-min's eyes. From now on, you will be my friend. On the outside, he forced a smile. But no one knew that inside, Lee Sung-min's world had just collapsed. A 27-year-old like me has become friends with a 13-year-old kid. Her voice continued. I've kept my promise to teach you martial arts, Wijihoyon. Therefore, I will teach you the Amethyst Cloud Secret Art. The Amethyst Cloud Secret Art is a technique from an unorthodox sect, with the unique characteristic of turning the user's internal energy into the color of amethyst. Seeing this, Lee Sung-min said confidently, The Amethyst Cloud Secret Art? I think I should just stick to learning the martial arts of the demonic cult. But Hoyon was focused on something else. Why are you using such formal language? She moved closer, her face looming large in front of him. Didn't you agree to talk casually with me, like friends? Her overwhelming presence made him unconsciously reply, Yes. Seeing his obedient response, Hoyon's mood instantly brightened. She said honestly, The heavenly demon secret art that I'm practicing is only for the leader and their successor. That's why I can't teach it to you. But you won't regret learning the Amethyst Cloud Secret Art. It's a pretty good technique. She looked at him expectantly. So what do you say? Lee Sung-min was back at the hunting grounds. He touched an old scar, thinking, It's already been a month since then. What an ironic coincidence. I've been training in the Amethyst Cloud Secret Art under Wijihoyon for about a month, and with more time I can become even stronger. Now the corpses of monsters were piled up around him. Lee Sungmin wiped the blood from his face and thought grimly, my martial arts level is now somewhere between third rate and second rate. Compared to my past life, this is already huge progress. He imagined Hoyon appearing, her mocking voice echoing in his ears. To think you can only do this much. Oh, even with me as your teacher. You really don't have a shred of talent. It made Lee Sungmin grit his teeth and push the thought away. Shut up! Just then, his attention was pulled in another direction. Should I collect the loot after winning? His pupils contracted sharply. Just in time, he leaped high into the air as a large monster appeared. He landed lightly, gripping the spear tightly in his hand. Lee Sungmin thought to himself, what is this? If I hadn't been careful, I would have been in real trouble. He stared at the ferocious monster, a name stirring in his mind. A dungeon ogre. His eyes darted around constantly. His intuition told him it was alone. Are there any more? After confirming the dungeon ogre was by itself, he launched a palm strike, the amethyst cloud's secret art, straight into its chest. The dungeon ogre was heavily wounded, blood staining the ground around it. Seizing the opportunity, he finished it off on the spot. A sense of pride swelled within him. Killing a dungeon ogre is no longer a problem for me now. Hoyon's voice teased him again. Looks like you're proud of yourself for killing just one dungeon ogre, huh? He seethed internally. Shut up! He knelt, looking closely at the dungeon ogre, a doubt suddenly forming in his mind. But dungeon ogres don't live around here. So where did this one come from? Suddenly a voice rang out from behind him. You've got good skills for someone so young, warrior. Seeing Hiriam approaching, Lee Sungmin immediately became wary. He asked, Who are you? Hiriam clasped his hands. Oh, my apologies, I am Hiriam, back in the Central District. I had the nickname Orchid of Ruined Sword. Seeing the sword hanging at the man's hip, he asked cautiously, What do you want from me? Hiriam seemed momentarily flustered. Well, about that. Then he pointed at the monster and said, I'm here because of some issues related to the dungeon ogres. Eventually, Lee Sungmin returned to town with him. Sanrang looked him over and said in surprise, Isn't he too young? Hiriam immediately hyped him up. I saw him fight with my own eyes. He may be young, but his skills are incredibly strong. He'll be a great help to us. Wang Pei, standing to the side, said in a deep voice, If Warrior Un says so, then we'll take his word for it. I am the Black Feather successor, Wang Boy. A girl cut in. I'm Renia. I studied magic at the Velis school. She asked him, Do you know anything about the job you're about to be assigned? Lee Sungmin hesitated. Yes, a little. Seeing that he didn't fully understand, Renia explained, Recently a horde of demons has been building a new dungeon ogre village in this area. There have been many reports of them attacking nearby villages. There have even been slaughtering parades. Hiriam continued. That's why the Mercenary Guild has issued a reward of 20 million air for anyone who can wipe out the dungeon ogre village. If we include the loot, the total profit should be around 35 million air. Lee Sungmin asked, How will we split it? Hiriam replied, We'll divide the money evenly among us. He thought silently. In that case, I'll receive about 7 million air. A big mission like this doesn't come around often. The problem is, can I trust these strangers? Looking at Hiriam's smiling face, he felt a little worried. Thinking about it now, this person. But the sum was quite large, so he decided. All right, I'm in. Hearing this, Hiriam excitedly threw his arm around him. You've made the right choice, warrior. With you on board, things will be much easier. But you coldly brushed them off. Thanks for being so enthusiastic, but, you said, looking at the two people across from you. Hiriam spoke up, trying to be discreet. They're just some stubborn people with no class. Hey, warrior, you're from a martial arts sect, right? Lee Sungmin replied indifferently, Yeah, that's right. Meanwhile, Renier was friendly asking them for a favor. Could you go buy me some apples nearby? The two kind people immediately agreed. Beside you, Hiriam was still explaining, They're carrying the large bags needed for the expedition and the leftover money is for them. Watching the two figures walk away, Hiriam nonchalantly advised you, You don't need to worry about them. The whole group headed deeper into the forest. Lee Sungmin curiously asked, How many goblins live in the village? Sun Ryong calmly replied, About 50 of them. I think we'll only need to fight about 30. He curled his lips into a slight smile. There's no great danger. Goblins are always stupid and slow. We just need to charge in, kill them, and collect the money. And you asked Hiriam, who was up ahead, what's the plan? He immediately explained, "We'll split into 2 teams, you, me, and the junior warrior, then the senior warriors team with Wang Pei and Karenia. Our main mission is to lure the goblins out of the village. Then we'll split up and attack." Renier demonstrated, "I'll scatter our scent with wind magic. Goblins are territorial creatures. If they smell humans, they'll come right away." Sanrang continued, "We'll hide and ambush them when they run out. At that point, the mage will prepare a magic attack. The junior warrior and I will set off firecrackers to attract the remaining goblins out. That's why we're splitting the goblins into 2 groups and killing them. Easy, right?" Lee Sungmin thought to himself, "It's not good to criticize others, but this plan is pretty decent. It would be better if we could set traps, but with this many people, it's not very feasible." While you were thinking, Hiriam announced, "We're close to the goblins' territory now." He lowered his voice and instructed, "All right, let's split into 2 teams now. Everyone remember to be careful. Good luck to us all." After that, Hiriam led Lee Sungmin and Brash away as planned. Seeing Brash breathing heavily, you felt a pang of sympathy. "We've been walking for almost half a day. People without a class like him must have it really tough." Seeing his past self in the present Brash, Lee Sungmin took the initiative to ask, "What is your name?" Brash looked up, panting, "Me, sir? Are you talking to me?" He slowly replied, "My name is Brass." Lee Sungmin turned and said bluntly, "All right, Brass, I'll be straight with you. I'm not confident I can protect you when the goblins charge out." You warned him. Choose, run, or keep following. You glanced towards Hiriam. No matter what, that guy definitely won't back down. And he's definitely listening to this conversation. The sun grew harsher. Brass was now completely exhausted. I can't run, Lee Sungmin thought. Of course he wouldn't know. What kind of penalty he'd face from the mercenary guild if he gave up and ran away? Because I'm the one who knows best. At this point, all you could do was warn him. All right, then. Then do your best to protect yourself. Just as you finished speaking, Hiriam called from up ahead. "Hey, junior warrior! I think we're here," he said cheerfully. "What luck. We managed to avoid all the patrol guards along the way. Do you see that shabby fence between those trees? That's the place. Now I'll set off the firecrackers to lure the goblins out." Lee Sungmin quickly stopped him. Wait." You bent down to get something. Hiriam immediately grew curious. "Just as I expected. That pouch around your waist is a dimensional bag. That must have been expensive, huh? Where did you buy it?" Lee Sungmin answered evasively, "Well, I was just lucky enough to get one." He was still staring intently. "I see. But what did you just take out?" As Lee Sungmin busily poured water, he explained, "It's water. If we make mud and cover ourselves with it, we can hide our scent." Hiriam's eyes lit up. "What a great idea, junior warrior. It seems you have an unreasonable amount of experience for your age, huh?" Meanwhile, Lee Sungmin was rolling left and right on the ground. "I learned it from my master." He continued to flatter him. What a wonderful master he must be. You stood up and replied indifferently, "Yeah, that's right. Warrior Hiriam, you should do it too." Hiriam obediently did as you said. Just then, Brass spoke up. "Do I need to—" Lee Sungmin reassured him. "We used up all the mud here. Let me find another spot and make some more for you." The final flare was finally lit. The hell goblins, catching the scent, all started to stir. Hiriung spoke up first. "Hey, warrior, I have a wonderful idea." Before Lee Min-sung could understand, he continued, "What do you think if we let the unruly one go first?" He added slyly, "Wouldn't the plan be more effective? If we let the unruly one go first to distract them, it'll be easier for us to attack from behind." Seeing this, Brass was terrified, speechless. He stammered, Sir, but if I do that, I'll die." Hiriung turned, annoyed, and said, "Hey, you won't. You won't die," he threatened in a low voice. "But if you don't go forward, perhaps I'll kill you myself." Seeing Brass's panic, he burst out laughing, half joking, half serious. "You know I'm just kidding, right?" Suddenly, Lee Sungmin stood up. Hiriung was surprised. "Warrior, what are you doing?" Lee Sungmin offered decisively. "I'll go first, if you have no problem with it." Hiriung considered it for a moment, then nodded. Of course not. He quietly counted the number of hell goblins lured out. 13. He thrust his spear, piercing straight through one. He swept his spear sideways, and a spray of fresh blood flew out. Lee Sungmin counted again. 12. A hell goblin was struck, a mess of flesh and blood flying past him. He calculated, and now 11. He attacked relentlessly, countless thoughts racing through his mind. Can I? No. Do I have to do this? Why do I have to get involved? His eyes glanced over at Brass, who was frozen in place. He told himself, there's no reason for this useless pity. No. In this case, maybe it should be called empathy, right? Even though he kept thinking, there's no close relationship between us, we're not even friends. But he helped Brass escape, for one simple reason. We are both classless, that's all. Seeing the hell goblins breaking out in a cold sweat from fear, he bravely charged forward. Power is magic, isn't it? I know it all too well. A very clear and ugly rule. He recalled every word Hoyon had said to him before. It seems no matter how many times I teach you, it's no use, huh? But you really are a fool. With not a shred of intelligence, I will teach you, so burn everything into your mind. Just remember one way to hold a spear. Lee Sung-min struggled to his feet. A thought flashed in his mind. Then, I'll strike from a distance. He told himself, I will become stronger. He let out a shout. Shadowless spear, third form! The spear tip tore through the wind. He launched a lightning-fast attack on the hell goblins from afar. He took on the whole group by himself. Wherever he passed, hell goblins fell. Over where Brass was, he was being attacked by a hell goblin. Brass trembled and fell, speechless with fear. When he opened his eyes, he saw the hell goblin had been pierced through by the boy. Lee Sung-min stood before him, panting heavily, along with Hyeryung. He had finished them all, returning silence to the forest. A hell goblin's ear was cut off. Hyeryung calculated, with this one, that makes a total of 13. He turned to Lee Sung-min and said, We hunted so many thanks to you. I've cut off the hell goblin's ears to submit as proof. The other group must have finished their mission by now. He gathered all the hell goblin ears, stuffed them into a bag, and casually threw it to Brass from a distance. Hey, porter over there, hold on to this carefully. He obeyed. Yes, sir. Hyeryung dusted off his hands and announced, Now, we should go meet up with the others. Lee Sung-min nodded and followed. As he passed Brass, he suddenly heard a very quiet voice. Thank you. After that, he also turned and followed Hyeryung. Lee Sung-min froze for a moment, watching his back disappear into the darkness. The sky had turned to night. Sanrang sat on a rock, grumbling, When is the other team going to get here? They should have been here sooner. Just then, he saw 3 people approaching. He called out, Oh, there they are! Is everything all right over there? Did you handle everything here? We finished everything a long time ago. Seeing as you're all covered in dirt, you must have had a tough time, huh? In his heart, he thought contemptuously, You're ugly as hell, too. Hyeryung chuckled softly. A tough time? Thanks to this little warrior here, it was an easy game for us. His eyes flickered towards Gwangbaa, implying, Actually, the real problem is just beginning. Hearing that, Lee Sung-min's expression changed instantly. Suddenly, a hand shot out, a dagger piercing straight through Renier's chest. She was stunned and horrified. It all happened so fast she couldn't even utter a word. The one who attacked was Gwangbaa. Seeing this, Sanryang froze in fear. Not noticing that behind him, Hyeryung had raised his sword. He swung down decisively but was blocked by the tip of Lee Sung-min's spear. Hyeryung growled, Don't interfere! Old memories flooded back. He too had been ordered around like this once. Hey, you classless brat! Hurry up! If you want more money, then drag your ass and move faster! The sun that day was scorching hot. He was no different from Brass. Carrying a pile of luggage, he resignedly obeyed. Suddenly, he saw a crowd gathered in the square. Jae-hoon said loudly, What, you've never seen something like this before? It's an execution. He was curious. An execution? Jae-hoon stopped, smirking from a distance. That guy's tough. I heard he's a mercenary from Murim. The guy killed all his comrades to take the huge reward from some mission for himself. Unlucky for him, he got caught. And now it's over for him, just like that. Lee Sung-min stared intently at the prisoner and said softly, Is that so? And the prisoner who was executed that year was Hyeryung, standing right before him. Back in the present, he casually walked forward. Well, this little brother of mine is full of surprises. You're faster than I thought. It's as if you already knew everything. He had no idea Sung-min was thinking to himself. Of course I did. I saw you get executed in my past life. Even though it happened 13 years ago, I still remember it vividly. It was the first time I'd ever witnessed an execution. Hyeryung gritted his teeth. Doesn't matter. I saw you fight those dungeon fiends. Your skills might be impressive for your age, but you're still not good enough to take me on. With that, he charged forward with his sword. Lee Sung-min focused, analyzing him. He's a second-rate martial artist. A tough opponent for someone like me who's on the verge of becoming one, but I can read his movements. Looking at that stance, he's probably planning a diagonal slash. In that case, I'll use the length of this spear to counter. The tip of the spear shot forward, and an explosive pressure erupted, knocking him back. Lee Sung-min tightened his grip on the spear, a slight smirk on his lips. Who did you say wasn't good enough? In my past life, I struggled between life and death. In this one, I was personally trained by the little heavenly demon. How could he possibly be a pushover? Hye-young shouted in frustration, Impressive! But what else can you— He couldn't even finish his sentence before spitting out a mouthful of blood. He clutched his neck in fear. What the hell? Across from him, Lee Sung-min's lips curled into a smirk. It's poison, you idiot. I mixed a slow-acting poison into the mud earlier. Since you weren't directly infected, it probably won't be fatal. But seeing how your hands are shaking, I don't think you can even block a blow from someone. Weaker than you. As soon as he finished speaking, he lunged forward. How about it? Mr. Martial Arts Master! Suddenly, his steps halted. Hye-young had placed his sword against Brass's neck. He threatened loudly, Hey, you brat! If you take one more step, this porter won't live to see tomorrow. He calculated, this brat seems to care about the porter. That means he has a soft spot for saving others. If so, he won't dare to move forward. On the contrary, Lee Sung-min was cursing him internally. Is that guy an idiot? Does he really think taking a hostage will do any good? He took another small step, causing Hye-young to panic. Hey, I told you not to move! Right now, many thoughts were racing through his mind. I've been a mercenary for so many years. The only reason I helped that porter is because I saw my past self in him. He glanced at Hye-young, who was panicking and acting recklessly, and pulled himself together. Damn it, stop overthinking and get back to reality. Fighting nonstop has drained my energy. Normally, I could have stabbed him before he could even move, but not now. If I try, I'll be counter-killed instantly. Then he saw the other side. Wang Pei and Sang Rian had also started fighting. Lee Sung-min worried silently, I'm not sure how long the poison will be effective. I have to conserve energy in case the monkey loses. He made his decision. I can't waste any more time. I have no choice now. Suddenly, Brass let out a pained smile. He threw himself backward, causing the staggering Hye-young to lose his balance. Brass slammed his full weight into the man's chest, trying to hold the sword tight. Lee Sung-min was horrified. Brass! Hye-young was pinned to the ground by him, cursing helplessly. You bastard! You're just a lowly porter! How dare you! Get off me! He frantically grabbed for the sword. He stabbed him hard in the side. He growled out each word. This is why I told you to get away. As soon as he finished, he saw Lee Sung-min standing before him. Sung-min's face was as dark as a demon's, making him beg in terror. Wait, warrior, listen to me! But before he could finish, the spear plunged down. On the other side, Sang Rian had also finished off Wang Pei. He turned to look at Sung-min. In that moment, a shadow fell over him. No one knew his heart was breaking as he looked at Brass lying motionless on the ground. He felt immense pity. In the end, he had rewritten the fate of Hye-young and Wang Pei's execution. They brought us to the Mercenary Guild, where Sang Rian and I split the 35 million Eri reward, along with the money we looted. Hye-young was thrilled to see Lee Sung-min open the door. Oh, you're back, she asked caringly. You're home late today, aren't you? He replied wearily. Yeah, I had to earn some money. He was dejected. Without even changing his clothes, he collapsed onto the bed, his mind still replaying what had just happened. If only I'd had a little more energy, Brass wouldn't have had to die. Damn it, I don't want to do anything I'll regret in this life. Hey. Unexpectedly, Hye-young was looking down at him. She asked, Did you kill someone? Her words stunned him. How did you know? The smell. Hye-young brought a hand to her nose. I can smell blood on you. Lee Sung-min was silent for a long time before finally explaining. It was a second-rate martial artist. He tried to kill me, so I killed him in self-defense, that's all. As soon as he finished, Hye-young spoke up. What are you trying to hide? She looked him straight in the eye. What exactly are you hiding? Lee Sung-min immediately shot up in bed. He forced himself to stay calm and replied to Hye-young, What are you talking about? That's a strange thing to say. What would I have to hide? Is the strange thing you're talking about the fact that someone with no achievements like me could defeat a second-rate martial artist? Hoyon waved his hand dismissively. That's not it. If you've studied the forbidden death arts, then winning is certainly possible. She bluntly praised him. You're very special. Hoyon slowly recounted the things he had seen while wandering the streets. I've tried very hard to understand this world. I've seen many things, and I've come to know the circumstances of the classless. Recalling the sight of a man picking leftover food from a trash can, she continued, most of them are pathetic, but it's understandable. Humans don't think twice about killing a bug after all. And yet, they hesitate so much when it comes to harming a small animal. Hoyon stood up straight, his eyes locked onto Lee Sung-min. But you, on your very first day, the first day you were summoned here, you went straight to the forest to hunt monsters? Lee Sung-min frowned. Is that so strange? If I didn't, it would have been hard for me to survive. Hoyon replied, logically, that's true. But have you considered that the other classless people don't do that because they can't even comprehend it? They understand perfectly well, but they can't bring themselves to prioritize their own lives to the point of taking another corresponding life. Even if you weren't classless, how could a 14-year-old kid like you do that on your very first day? He said evasively, I just adapt a little quickly, that's all. Hoyon chuckled softly. You're really good at dodging questions. In that case, I'll tell you my second point. Lee Sung-min was curious. There's more? Hoyon's next words hit him where it hurt. You have no talent whatsoever. If I teach you 10 things, at most you'll only understand 3 or 4, right? Seeing him sulking, she called out, Hey, look here! The strange thing is, you've only been learning the spear for 2 months. But your spearmanship is excellent. An amateur in internal arts whose footwork with a spear is as clumsy as yours somehow doesn't make any of the common mistakes a beginner would. How can someone with no talent learn martial arts at that speed in 2 months? Hoyon asked bluntly. Lee Sung-min? Who are you? He immediately shot to his feet, his face dark. I don't know what you're talking about. Hoyon reminded him in a cold voice. As your friend, I hate it when people lie to me. The two of them stared at each other for a long time as the room fell into silence. Lee Sung-min spoke first. Everyone has a secret they want to keep for themselves. This isn't about finding a bad guy or not. So that's what friends are to you? Hoyon pondered for a moment, then finally accepted it. A secret, huh? Fine. Every human has to have at least one secret. I have one too. She made a deal. All right. Now if you tell me your secret, I'll tell you mine. Lee Sung-min shook his head. No, I don't need to know. She continued to persuade him. You just missed a great opportunity. Then how about this? My secret plus a peerless martial arts technique. Spearmanship or movement skills, which one do you want? Lee Sung-min sighed. Even if you taught me, I don't have enough talent or internal energy to use it properly. Hoyon crossed her arms and thought for a moment. Suddenly, she had an idea. Then how about this? I'll give you 20% of my internal energy. Her words made Lee Sung-min freeze. He lunged forward. What? Why? Hoyon said calmly. Because I'm curious. Because you're my only friend. So I want to know everything about you, including your secrets. Her eyes shone with sincerity. That's what being friends means to me. Is that still not enough? Lee Sung-min was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, Just promise me one thing. Hoyon asked, What is it? If I tell you my secret, you won't kill me. Lee Sung-min bargained. Hoyon immediately agreed. Doesn't that go without saying? Why would I want to kill my friend? She scratched her head. Anyway, we've decided to exchange secrets. So I'll start first. She's a woman. Hoyon yanked off her hair tie, and her long hair cascaded down her shoulders. Lee Sung-min was shocked, his eyes wide open. This secret was beyond his imagination. Hoyon said nonchalantly, Why are you so surprised? My father wanted me to do this for the sect, because only a son can become the leader of the demonic sect. My father wanted me to follow this path, so he had me live as a boy. Seeing that Lee Sung-min still couldn't accept the truth, she continued, I've gotten used to living like this. So until now, no one knew I was a woman. That's my secret. Now it's your turn. He held up a hand to stop her. Wait a minute. I need to sort out my thoughts. He suggested, first of all, starting tomorrow. Let's use separate rooms. Hoyon asked innocently. But why? Lee Sung-min took a deep breath, mustering all his courage, and confessed, I've been reborn. Hoyon's pupils contracted. She said angrily, What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Just like that, the two of them argued all night. Finally, Hoyon said thoughtfully, "So that means, you're saying you died and were reborn in the past? That's pretty hard to believe. But I can believe you. So that explains all your weird behavior. If we were in the Central District, getting eliminated would be nearly impossible. But this is another world, so I guess anything is possible. Why would you think I'd kill you after hearing this?" Lee Sung-min said slowly. "Even though on the outside I only look 14 years old. On the inside I'm already 27? Aren't you upset? I lied to you that we were the same age," Hoyon replied nonchalantly. "What's the big deal?" She looked straight at him. "Listen carefully. From the very beginning, the one who approached you, promised to teach you martial arts and said we were friends, was me. You didn't lie to me at all. In fact, you were just trying to please me, so I have no reason to kill you or end this friendship." Hearing her words, Lee Sung-min couldn't help but freeze as her clear voice rang in his ear. "We've been together for 2 months now. During that time, I've already accepted you as my friend," she smiled, "because to me, that's what friends are. Is that still not enough for you?" Lee Sung-min was incredibly moved. He bit his lip and said, "Thank you." For the first time since being reborn, he shed tears. "Thank you, Wiji Hoyon." To lighten the mood, Hoyon continued, "Besides, I am a little sad that even after living through 2 lives and having all those years of experience, your skill level has only reached this point, right? I have a lot of questions for you, but let's put that aside for now." She immediately stood up and said excitedly, "From now on, I'm going to transfer my internal energy to you. According to the books, internal energy is the energy accumulated in a martial artist's body. When a martial artist uses this energy, they can gain supernatural powers. Because there are very few ways to increase internal energy besides cultivation techniques, all martial artists must spend their entire lives refining and accumulating it. Because it's so precious, Hoyon proactively offering to transfer her internal energy to him was an extremely rare thing. She said softly, "Your meridians aren't very clear." "Transferring internal energy is very rare," she exclaimed. "There are so many impurities accumulated in your body." After checking his constitution, Hoyon reminded him, 14 isn't exactly early to start learning martial arts, you know. But whatever, I'm going to transfer 20% of my internal energy to you now. How much of that 20% you can keep is up to you. Use the Amethyst Cloud Secret Art." With that, Hoyon struck his back with a powerful palm. Lee Sung-min gritted his teeth, enduring the sudden numbness. A moment later, he could feel it clearly. The energy inside him was surging like an electric current. Hoyon, exhausted, asked, "How do you feel?" At that moment, Lee Sung-min, his entire mind was focused on the changes in his body. Lee Sung-min thought in astonishment, "This is only 20% of her internal energy? This is even more than I accumulated in my past life." Hoyon asked again, "How much did you keep?" Lee Sung-min guessed, "About half, maybe?" Hoyon nodded. "Half? Don't feel too bad. The remaining internal energy will clear out your meridians. If you keep using the Amethyst Cloud Secret Art, you can make that internal energy your own." As soon as she finished speaking, she collapsed. Lee Sung-min was startled and turned around. He saw her sprawled on the ground and asked anxiously, "Are you all right?" Hoyon reassured him, "Don't be so dramatic. I'm just a little tired." Afterward, he helped her to the bed to rest. After a moment of silence, Lee Sung-min asked in a low voice, "Why would you sacrifice so much for me?" She gave the same answer as before. "Because we're friends. You don't need to feel pressured. I don't need anything from you. I'm just doing this for my own satisfaction." She whispered to herself, "That's right, for my own satisfaction." Suddenly, Hoyon raised her voice and said, "I told you I'd teach you another martial art, didn't I? Right? I'll pass on a suitable spear technique to you." This made Lee Sung-min freeze. "You're going to help me again?" She thought for a moment and said, "The 9 heavenly spears that the Spear King used 100 years ago seems about right. It'll be hard for you to learn with your level of talent, so I'll downgrade it to a suitable level for you." Seeing his bewildered face, Hoyon repeated, "How many times have I told you this? Don't feel guilty. This is just for my own satisfaction." More accurately, she looked at him, her gaze softening. "For the first friend I've made in 13 years, I can't let you die as uselessly as you did in your past life." Those words made Lee Sung-min choke up. He softly called out, "Wiji Hoyon, thank—" Before he could finish, she swung her hand and hit him. Friends don't bow and thank each other. He rubbed his cheek and said tremblingly, What if I just bow a little? Hoyon grabbed the back of his neck and said commandingly, I don't like that. Then she pulled him down to lie next to her. Instead of things like that, I want something more interesting. He stammered, Interesting, like what? Model. She looked straight into his eyes, speaking mesmerically. Like, for instance, the story of your past life. That's right. What kind of person was I in your past life? Lee Sung-min tried to recall. What kind of person you were? He thought for a long while before answering. I was too busy trying to survive, so I only heard about you through rumors. I heard that you ruled from the peak of Eria, with overwhelming power. Suddenly she giggled. Really? I did pretty well for myself, didn't I? I really am something else. He continued to reminisce. And after you were summoned, you left the city within a month and disappeared for about 3 years. Hoyon guessed. Perhaps I went traveling during those 3 years. Lee Sung-min was curious. Traveling? She nodded. The thing I desire most is freedom. Being part of the demonic sect means you only have freedom within the sect leader's control. She pointed at him and said cheerfully, That's why when I was summoned to this world, I was so happy to have a friend like you. Before he could ask another question, she continued in a rush, I'll be leaving in a month. I'm going to enjoy this world and my freedom. After I teach you the 9 heavenly destruction spears for a month, I'll go traveling just like in my past life. What about you? She tilted her head, looking at him. The Lee Sung-min of this life. What kind of life do you want to live? Such a sudden question made him sink into deep thought. How do I want to live? Recalling the broken moments of suffering and resignation from his past, he said softly, A better life than my last one. Hoyon rested her chin on her hand and said softly, Is that so? That sounds so vague. Instead of something so vague, do you have a goal? Lee Sung-min was flustered. I don't know. Hoyon gave him more time, advising, Think about it, and tell me when you figure it out. Suddenly, she sat up straight. I'm so curious about your past life. Tell me about it. Lee Sung-min scratched his ear in embarrassment. There's not much to tell. Hoyon cut in. I'm not surprised, which made him curse under his breath. You wretch! In truth, he was constantly reflecting in his heart. I lived in Xenaviss for almost my entire past life. Was there anyone there I could call a friend? Probably not. Just as I am Weiji Hoyun's first friend, she is also my first friend. In the end, a long night passed. It was a night of endless, trivial stories. And then a month went by. Hoyon's voice rang out. All right, Sung-min. She beckoned him over. Let's see how much you've learned in a month. Lee Sung-min thought to himself, It's almost time to say goodbye. After this mock battle, Weiji Hoyun will leave. He shouted, In that case, I'll fight with everything I've got. She smirked and pointed at him. Of course you have to give it your all. Do you think you can fight me half-heartedly with that little bit of skill? Her words hit a nerve. Lee Sung-min roared and charged straight at Hoyon. Hoyon held up 2 fingers. I'll give you a 20-step head start. That means you can use 20 moves. Before I attack. Lee Sung-min tightened his grip on his spear and immediately rushed forward. 20 moves? Which ones should I use? He remembered Hoyon once saying, The methods of the 9 Heavens Peak Spear Arts are very suitable for you. It's called the Sung-min style 9 Heavens Peak Spear Arts. At the time, he had been skeptical. What a weird name. Hoyon had replied smugly, Well, I improved it just for you. So it has to have your name in it, right? That night, he had vehemently protested the name, but in the end, he still learned it. He began to calculate. Within the Sung-min style 9 Heavens Peak Spear Arts, the techniques I use can be combined with the moves of the soul-chasing arts. Should I use this one first? He activated the soul-chasing arts. The spear tip died in a purple light, cut through the wind and shot straight towards Hoyon. Just as it reached her, Hoyon gently knocked it aside with her hand. She calmly counted, 1. He immediately spun his spear and thrust a second time. Hoyon dodged, her movements as fluid as flowing water. 2! This time his gaze hardened. He shouted, Sung-min style 9 Heavens Peak Spear Arts. First form, Vital Point Soul-Chasing Spear. Immediately after he activated the second form, Light-Splitting Death Spear. 2 moves burst forth in succession, yet Hoyon still calmly dodged all of his attacks. Her voice rang out. Hoyon instructed in a serious tone, Compared to when you knew nothing, your spear arts now include parrying, binding, and piercing. In a parry, the spearhead rotates outward to redirect the force of the opponent's attack. For a bind, the spearhead rotates inward and presses down quickly to lock the opponent's attack. She grabbed the spear to demonstrate directly. And piercing is for stabbing the opponent. These are the basics of spear arts. You're using a spear now without even knowing this? Lee Sungmin said, panting. It's because I've always been self-taught. Hoyon nodded. In that case, practice them diligently every day until you can use them. Lee Sungmin obeyed. It's all thanks to you. He then continued his barrage of attacks. Hoyon counted in a loud voice, 4, 5, 6. You're still not using your back? Incorporate the force of a push into every spear thrust. Lee Sungmin immediately straightened his back, putting his strength into a powerful spear thrust. Hoyon remarked with feeling, 7, a little better, a little... Damn it, he thought, gritting his teeth. Is the gap in our strength really this huge? I managed to reach rank 2 thanks to the internal energy Hoyon gave me, but she can still block everything with just her right hand. Seeing Hoyon's confidence with that demonic aura radiating from her, he couldn't help but be in awe. This truly is an ultimate master. Seeing him slow down, Hoyon advanced. What's with that face? Are you done already? Suddenly, Lee Sungmin asked, Do you think this move is even possible? Before the words were even out, his hand had already swung the spear, thrusting decisively. Following Hoyon's count, he spun the spear continuously, one move after another without stopping, all the way to 19. She immediately summoned a weapon to counter. Hoyon spoke up. Now for the final move. Counting to 20. Tisk! She froze as the tip of Lee Sungmin's spear was right at her eye. She smirked, her face filled with pride. The moment the spear was about to touch her, her figure vanished. While Lee Sungmin was still bracing himself, Hoyon appeared behind him. She took control of the spear in his hand and announced softly, And with that, the match is over. Completely convinced of his defeat, Lee Sungmin followed behind her. I lost. She patted his shoulder in praise. You did very well. Lee Sungmin shook his head. That's ridiculous. You blocked all my attacks with just your right hand. She laughed cheerfully. No, really, you did a great job. Putting aside your internal energy, I'm certain you were born to be a martial artist. Just that one sentence sent a shock through Lee Sungmin. Even though you couldn't hit me, you were able to sense my presence just now, right? If you can perceive things you can't see, that can be considered a gift. One day, it will become your own special weapon. She crossed her arms, assessing him. I'm quite looking forward to 15 years from now. He asked curiously if 15 years from now? Hoyon rubbed her chin thoughtfully. That's right, Sungmin. This sparring match was a bit easy. To be more precise, it was too easy. But I'm genuinely satisfied with your skills. You tried your best to apply what I taught you. That last attack was the best of all. So, let's meet again in 15 years. She continued, showing her concern. Last month, I asked you what your goal in life was, right? Have you decided yet? Dejectedly, Lee Sungmin shook his head. No, I still haven't figured it out. Suddenly, Hoyon thumped her chest and said, If that's the case, then make me your goal. Lee Sungmin clenched his fists while Hoyon kept rambling in his ear, not noticing his expression. A person needs to have a goal. Otherwise, your life will just be like a boat drifting aimlessly on the sea. She encouraged him. Become so strong that you can defeat me in 15 years. He said quietly, That's impossible. Hoyon couldn't hear him clearly and asked again, What was that? Suddenly, Lee Sungmin shouted, Making you my goal doesn't mean I can become like you. Please stop saying impossible things. I can't do it. I can't because I'm not a genius. You're smart and talented. All you need is a few more divine potions. That's why you'll never understand how hard it is, he said to Hoyon, completely dejected. It's totally impossible for me. We were different from the very start, Hoyon said gravely. There you go again. This disgusting sense of inferiority. She gently advised, I hate seeing you like this. Your inferiority complex from your past life held you back. This isn't good for you, he said painfully, enunciating every word. You're an idiot. I have nothing. I was summoned here with empty hands and not a single talent. I once fought for my life against a wild boar while I was stuck in the mud. I lived a pathetic life, only to die in the end anyway, Hoyon snapped in anger. But now you're learning secret arts. You became a rank 2 warrior in just 3 months, didn't you? That means you have the second chance, she tried her best to persuade him. But right now, all you have is that inferiority complex from your past life. You don't even have the courage to find a goal. You won't even allow yourself to try.
You're saying you don't want to look at a tree you can't climb, right? But you have a second life now.
This time, Lee Sung-min cut her off. Shut up! Hoyon froze. Are you angry? Lee Sung-min replied, Yes, I'm very angry. He laughed sarcastically. Unbelievable. Getting lectured by a kid who's only 13 years old? Fine. If that's what you want, then I'll make you my goal. I'll aim for your level. As the goal for my martial arts training, in 15 years I will definitely run my spear through your heart. Horrified, Hoyon waved her hands. No, you can't do that! I'll die. You shouldn't do that to a friend. Her innocent look made him snap out of it. A friend? Lee Sung-min remembered, flustered. Ah, right. Hoyon said very simply, you just have to fight a match. Lee Sung-min saw how casually she said it. His eyes went wide, and then he scratched his head in embarrassment over his own rudeness. Hoyon gently comforted him. If you're going to get this embarrassed, why did you get so angry in the first place? Her voice was clear and decisive. All right, then, it's settled. Hoyon stepped forward. See you in 15 years. I'm really looking forward to our battle. Seeing him standing there stunned, Hoyon teased, Don't tell me you're scared, Lee Sung-min. I was just startled because you suddenly got so close to me. What is a kid like you even talking about? Seeing you all embarrassed just makes me want to tease you more. I knew it. A 27-year-old man feeling so frustrated facing a child. Her nose brushed against his cheek, making him blush as he reminded her, You're too close. Too close? Hoyon teased. You said I was just a kid, didn't you? All right, then. In 15 years, I'll grow up and become so charming that you'll be left speechless. I won't let you say things like I'm too young anymore. After the match with Hoyon, Lee Sung-min had decided on 3 major goals. First, to continue surviving. Second, to seize opportunities using the memories of his past life. He recalled that day before Hoyon left. The two of them made a promise to each other. And so, she said, I'll see you again in 15 years, okay? Lee Sung-min nodded without hesitation. All right, see you in 15 years. At that very moment, his third goal was set. Hoyon turned back to remind him, Don't you dare die. And he replied, I won't die. After that final confirmation, they went their separate ways. From then on, every step Lee Sung-min took silently reminded him of one name, Weiji Hoyon. Lee Sung-min remembered the things he missed in his past life. These were also the 3 things he could obtain from Xenaviss during this period, the martial body and the pure heaven divine art. He had completed them. So the last thing was the no-class tournament. Lee Sung-min was at the arena. Xenaviss often held tournaments, and the one Lee Sung-min wanted to participate in was the no-class tournament, which only those without a class could enter. This was 10 months after Weiji Hoyon left. Dong-yoon stepped up to fight. Seeing how young he was, he sneered, Why is a brat like you participating in this? I'm a third-rate warrior, you know, so you'd better just give up. Without saying much, Lee Sung-min launched an attack and knocked him out. During that time, Lee Sung-min's martial arts had developed to the first-rate level. Therefore, winning the no-class tournament, which was just a gathering of small fries, was a piece of cake for him. And the prize for the winner was the Divine Energy Elixir Pill, which could enhance one's internal energy. Of course, Lee Sung-min took that Divine Energy Elixir Pill. But even after receiving Weiji Hoyon's internal energy, this internal energy-enhancing elixir pill was still a little lacking. He looked at the Divine Energy Elixir Pill in his hand and thought, Even with this, I've gotten everything I can from Xenaviss. The only thing left to do was visit the stall. He cheerfully greeted Uncle Han. He was surprised to see him. Hey, kid, I heard you won the tournament. Congratulations. He replied politely, Thank you, Uncle. Han pointed to his wares and asked him, So, what do you want to buy here? Lee Sung-min shook his head. I came to say goodbye. He could have guessed as much. I figured. Moved, Han patted Lee Sung-min on the shoulder. So this no-class kid has finally graduated from Xenaviss, huh? I'm really touched. He looked at Han and smiled. It's all thanks to you, Uncle. He encouraged him, If you're leaving this city, you'll probably do just fine. No matter where you go, quick-witted people always survive longer, like me. Han suddenly opened his hand. In it was a small leather pouch, and he urged him to take it. This is a spatial pouch, it's used. Just an old thing, but its capacity is 1.5 times bigger than the one you have now. It's very useful. Lee Sung-min was puzzled. But why are you giving this to me? He pressed it into the boy's hand and turned away. When someone gives you a gift, you just take it. Besides, it's all worn out. I don't even know how much it would sell for. Han sat back down in his stall. He said, half joking and half serious, "It's a farewell gift. If you want to pay me back, then become famous someday and pay me back 100 times over, all right? And go spread the word all over Eria that when you were still a newbie, you were indebted to Han, a humble street vendor." Hearing Han's sincere words, he was so moved he almost cried. His voice choked up. "Thank you, Uncle." After that, Lee Sung-min returned to the inn. The sound of footsteps creaking on the rotten wooden floor startled Lula, making her look up. "Lee Sung-min." "Lula?" She asked with concern, "Are you leaving?" Lee Sung-min answered shyly, "How did you know?" Only to be loudly scolded by Lula. "If you clean your room that spotlessly, even an idiot would know," she asked, feeling hurt. "Why would you do that? That's my job." He nodded slightly. "I know," Lula said, upset. "I know that people summoned from other worlds. I came to this city. I knew I would leave one day. You have to tell me the truth." "Yes, I have to go," Lula said quietly. "Really? Well, I hope you don't die a miserable death somewhere." After saying that, Lula turned and left, sobbing. She left so quickly that she didn't even notice her father, Jack, had just arrived. Lee Sung-min and he watched Lula go, not knowing how to react. Suddenly, Jack spoke first. "Please, try to understand her. She's still just a kid." Even though he was younger, he nodded in understanding. "Of course, sir. I understand." Hearing this, Jack sighed in admiration. "How can you act like that when you're so young? It's like you're a little old man." He held out a large coat, gently placing it in his hands. "Here, take this." Lee Sung-min was surprised to see Jack giving him something. "What is this?" he said proudly. "It's a cloak I used to wear when I was young. It might not look like much, but it has magic that regulates temperature and enhances swordsmanship. It's quite useful." He held the cloak preciously in his hands and said gratefully, "Thank you so much, sir." Jack added, "It's a bit big for you, so you should get it tailored." He clapped him on the shoulder, his eyes shining with trust. "You'll do great. You're the best no-class I've ever met in this inn." By now, his eyes were welling up. Jack gave a bright smile. "Stay healthy." After saying goodbye to Jack, Lee Sung-min continued to walk step by step away from the town. Suddenly, he stopped. Someone was calling his name from afar. It was Lula, rushing towards him. Hearing the shout from behind, Lee Sung-min turned to see Lula hugging a pillow, sobbing. She pushed her hair back. Her cheeks were now soaked with tears. Lula called out softly, "Hey!" she said, trembling. "I take it back." Lee Sung-min didn't understand what she was talking about. "What I said before, about you dying. I take it all back." Lula said goodbye, her voice choked with emotion. "Don't die," Lee Sung-min asked foolishly. "You ran all the way here just to say that?" Lula avoided the question, saying evasively, "If you're going to leave, then live a long life and don't die. If you feel like you can't take it anymore, just come back to this city." He nodded, accepting her feelings. "All right, thanks." Lula bowed her head and continued, "This is a little weird, but at some point, I started to notice you." She clutched her dress tightly and confessed bluntly, "I don't know why. It's just that, in a few moments, I think I started to like you." Lee Sung-min stared at her in surprise for a long moment, then spoke. "I see. I'm sorry." Lula accepted it. "It's okay. Just don't die." He walked over to her side and promised softly, "I will never die." She kept her face in her hands, sobbing. "Okay," Lee Sung-min said sincerely. "Goodbye." "Goodbye." In the end, there was nothing left to hold him here. As Lee Sung-min walked, he thought, "In my past life, it took me 3 years to graduate from Xenaviss. But this time, it only took me a single year. And while I had no memories of my past life then, this time, I've gained so many precious moments." He glanced back at the town of Xenaviss and thought to himself, "Will I ever come back here someday?" The reminder still echoed in his ears. Don't die. I will never die. The first person he met after leaving town was Taehyun. The old man said coldly, "It's been a long time since I've seen a student this young. Welcome to Mount Mercy. What kind of restriction do you wish to receive?" He looked straight at Taehyun, thinking relentlessly, "To do that, I need to become stronger." He recalled the conversation in that room. Hoyun asked him, "Where should we meet in 15 years? I don't know the geography of this world, so you decide." Lee Sungmin hesitated for a moment, then said, "In that case, let's meet in Behanger in 15 years. Back in the present, he calculated in his head, "There are 9 years left until our promised day. Where should I go now? I don't have to go to Behanger right away." Lee Sungmin began to analyze. "I could become a mercenary again, but then I'd be living the exact same life as before. This time I need time to train." Suddenly an idea flashed in his mind. That's it. Mount Mercy. Mercy is the god of Eria, responsible for managing trials and tribulations. On Mount Mercy, the god's domain, after placing a restriction on one's senses and body, a person can complete a training course that is several hundred times more effective. Based on his calculations, he was certain. Mount Mercy is nearby. All right, and so Lee Sungmin set foot on the mountain of the god of tribulation. Back in the present, he had arrived at Mount Mercy and was training with the restriction the monk had bestowed upon him. Lee Sungmin had received 2 restrictions. The first is the restriction of weight. Simply put, it's a restriction that makes everything incredibly heavy, applying to both my body and the items I have, even my spatial pouch. Even the bread is heavy. And the second restriction... Lee Sungmin grimaced, trying to swallow the piece of bread. He ate while trembling, as if eating was something horrific. Suddenly he felt something was wrong. Lee Sungmin immediately gagged, and with it, a swarm of insects fell from his mouth. The second restriction was seeing wriggling, terrifying bugs. He felt dizzy and nauseous, endlessly. That's the taste prohibition. This is the harshest one. It's not that you lose your sense of taste, but that the flavor of everything we eat is absolutely revolting. Not just the flavor, but the texture of the food as well. I can even feel maggots squirming inside the bread I just ate. Lee Sungmin collapsed on the ground, exhausted, thinking, "At this rate, I won't be able to eat or drink anything. I didn't know it would be this hard." He slowly drifted into a daze. Should I give up? No. Looking up at the vast blue sky, Lee Sungmin wondered, do I really need to do this? Even if I go to Behanger and become a mercenary now, I could still become a B-rank mercenary before long. Wouldn't that be much better than my previous life? I shouldn't be so greedy. Hoyun's face appeared in his mind, causing his eyes to snap open. Determined, Lee Sungmin shot up, picked up the half-eaten bread and shoved it straight into his mouth. He chewed ravenously and swallowed the whole loaf, then chugged several gulps of water. His breathing gradually stabilized. The sky was turning dark. The lonely call of a bird echoed through the silent mountain forest. "You should just try this bloody mercy." Suddenly he heard Hoyun's voice near him. "You pathetic human!" Lee Sungmin jumped and spun around. He saw no one behind him. And so, a week passed. A deer was listening for any predators nearby. Confirming there was no danger, it began to graze leisurely. Seeing his chance, Lee Sungmin rushed forward. The deer froze in terror when it saw him coming. It blinked its large eyes once. And with just that one cute gesture, he hesitated. The deer only needed that one moment of delay to quickly run away, leaving him to watch it disappear, fuming with frustration. He slumped to the ground in disappointment. Powerless, he thought. For a whole week, all I've had is one piece of bread and water. I don't have enough nutrients. He sat there in a daze. On this mountain, we have to take care of everything ourselves, including clothes, food, and shelter, all while under the effects of those prohibitions. This is the ordeal of mercy. This mountain is too harsh. Not only is the temperature difference between day and night huge, but the animals are strong and fast, too. Because of the weight prohibition, I can't even hunt. And with the taste prohibition, I couldn't eat it even if I did. I've been living like this for a week, and my body feels absolutely disgusting. At first, I planned to train here for at least 2 years. But even if the training efficiency increases, it's a waste of time if I'm too weak to train at all. Suddenly, a rock rolled to his feet. Lee Sungmin looked up and saw a figure in front of him. Seeing a girl waving at him, he became guarded. Who is she? Lee Sungmin analyzed. A woman? There's a prohibition on Mount Mercy that trainees cannot harm each other, so I guess I don't need to be on guard. He asked again, Who are you? Baeksogo pointed to the curse mark on her neck. Her hand made an X sign. He understood and continued, A voice prohibition? You mean you can't speak? Baeksogo nodded. She suddenly swung her arm, throwing a deer over, which startled him. He realized it was the same deer from before. He pointed at it and asked softly, This Baek Sogo took a branch and wrote on the ground, "I've been watching you for a few days now. At this rate, you're going to die. That's why I'm helping you." The two communicated in the official language of Eria. Lee Sung-min wondered, "I'm grateful for your help, but what do you want from me?" Baek Sogo wrote, "I don't want anything from you." He was surprised. "Then why?" Baek Sogo arrogantly pointed to herself. "Because I'm kind." Sung-min's mind filled with speculation. A woman who suddenly appears and helps me. She claims to be a good person. Every time I'm in trouble, she'll show up and help me. I asked for her name, and I couldn't help but be surprised. The name of the girl with short white hair in front of him? Baek Sogo. He remembered the information about this girl perfectly. "I know that name, and it was a famous name in my previous life. She is Baek Sogo, the Flash, because her movement technique was as fast as a flash of lightning. But I wasn't surprised because I met someone who would become famous in the future. The real reason I was surprised was Sung-min couldn't forget a prophecy about the future. Baek Sogo will die. That time is far from now, 8 years from our meeting, and she will die at the hands of the minor heavenly demon, Wijihoyen. Currently, Sung-min was in a place heavily bound by the rules and regulations of Mount Mercy. Practitioners receive prohibitions every 6 months they are on the mountain. They must receive a different prohibition. Practitioners cannot harm each other." He remained silent, leaning thoughtfully against a large rock, his mind racing with thoughts about the event related to Baek Sogo. That incident. Did something happen in the dungeon? Suddenly, she appeared in his line of sight, staring at him. Startled, Sung-min hit his head on the rock. "When did you get here?" Baek Sogo wrote on the rock, her tone nonchalant. "Just checking in." His eyes widened, and he broke into a sweat as he watched her write. "I can't believe she's writing on a rock with her finger." She calmly wrote a few more words. "I was worried you might be hungry again, so I came to check." Sung-min tried to suppress his surprise, clearing his throat. "Thanks, but with your level of martial arts, can't you use telepathy even if you can't speak?" Baek Sogo shook her head with a pitiful expression. No, I can't. My current prohibition also forbids me from using telepathy." Suddenly, he noticed something else strange about her body. He couldn't contain his curiosity and asked, "That arm?" Baek Sogo glanced at it indifferently, then explained briefly, "It's a prohibition on using my left hand. It's been half a year, so a new one was added. I'm having a hard time. Because I can't feel my left hand. Are your prohibitions taste and weight?" Hearing her mention them, Sung-min replied wearily, "Yeah." She seemed to sympathize with his predicament. "It must be so frustrating to have the same pleasure as me. I can't believe you've even been robbed of the joy of eating." You could only manage a dry laugh, not daring to say more. Soon after, Sung-bin spoke up, changing the subject. "Do you know what kind of prohibitions the other practitioners received?" Bachogo seemed a bit surprised. "Oh, you're curious about the other practitioners?" Hearing you admit it, she smiled and stood up. "All right then, I'll introduce you to them. Come with me." Sung-bin's face lit up as he thanked her profusely. "I'd be really grateful if you did that." Before he could finish his sentence, he saw that no one was in front of him. Baek Sogo's speed made him question everything. How am I supposed to keep up with that? Luckily, she had the decency to come back. "Oh, right. You received the weight prohibition, didn't you?" Your expression was still dazed, even without that prohibition. I don't think I could have kept up anyway. Unexpectedly, she was kind enough to offer some advice. "If your body is heavy, you should focus more on your light body technique. That would be better than just relying on your spear arts." Sung-bin slowly pushed himself up from his knees. "Have you been watching me train? Could you teach me the light body technique?" However, Baek Sogo politely refused. "No matter how kind I am, I can't just give away the skills I use to make a living." You gave a slight, humble smile. "I was just kidding." Before you could react, she hoisted you onto her shoulder. Sung-min barely had time to process what was happening when he heard her command. "You're too slow, so I'll carry you to make it faster." Your face immediately filled with absolute panic. "Huh? Wait a—" she warned him beforehand. "Hold on tight." And then Sung-min felt an overwhelming pull. In an instant, the world fell silent for you, until a disdainful voice reached Sung-min's ears. "What is it? It's just the mute girl." The person seemed blunt when speaking to Baek Sogo. "Mute. Who's this kid?" She introduced him. "Lee Sung-min. He's a new practitioner." But at that moment, you were completely stunned, covering your nose. This smell. The person in front of Sung Min was filthy and gave off a horrific stench. Lee Sung-bin thought, he must be a martial artist. It was that bastard, Scarlet Lyseer, the future archmage, who was prohibited from bathing and changing clothes. In addition, there was an old man covered in scars present as well. Right then, a martial artist who loved a challenge spoke up. Let's have a match later. Weijun, the future sword demon. Prohibitions, left eye and right eye. Bexogo gave a brief introduction to these formidable names. There are only 4 people left here. The ones who have survived for over half a year of training. Bexogo, the future lightning flash. Prohibitions, left eye, left hand, and voice. Sungbin's jaw was wide open. He stared, wide-eyed, upon meeting these people. What is this lineup? They were all important figures who would later make big names for themselves. A chill ran down your spine. Even though they were still nobodies at this moment, they would soon build a reputation throughout Eria, and above all, Scarlet glanced at you and spoke in an arrogant tone. Hey, kid, what's your prohibition? Are you still holding your nose because you can't stand the smell? It's weight and taste. Her expression was full of confusion. She immediately questioned it. You haven't even been here for half a year. So how do you have 2 prohibitions? You mean you got 2 right from the start? That's insane. You won't last long, Dobby spoke up, refuting her dismissive attitude. Scarlet, he came to this mountain to become stronger, so it's understandable why he'd do that. He wants to surpass his limits at any cost, right? Despite being defended, Sung Min was a little wary of the old man's frightening smile. Ah, yes, that's right. Scarlet didn't bother to hide her look of disgust for the old man. Sometimes you really give us the creeps, you know that? The old man's aura was still formidable. All sorts of misfits had gathered on this mountain, but only 4 of us have managed to last while trying to surpass our own limits for over half a year now. We'll just have to see how long you can hold out. I'll be keeping an eye on you. Sungbin didn't know what to say, so he could only agree. Okay. Then, Scarlet's mocking voice rang out again, teasing Bexogo. Hey, Mute! You must be thrilled, huh? You found another psycho who started with 2 prohibitions just like you. Sung Bin was completely shocked. Bexogo started with 2 prohibitions too? She didn't seem to want to stay long. Now that we've all met, let's head back. Sung Min's eyes widened in a daze. Wait, there are only 3 people here in total. Didn't you say there were 4 people who have been training for over half a year? There's one more person. Dobby kindly warned you beforehand. If you're thinking of meeting Flam, just forget it. You unconsciously mumbled the name. Flam? A person that even the old man was wary of. He's too dangerous. Even the normally sharp-tongued Scarlet remained silent, as if in agreement. Their strained attitudes only fueled the demon of curiosity in Sung Min's heart. 4 months later, in that same quiet and picturesque mountain forest, Sung Bin diligently swung his sword day after day, training in the woods. The more I got used to it, the harsher the prohibitions became, my body grew heavier, and the food tasted worse. I'm incredibly proud of my progress, but I am getting stronger. After 4 months of training, my dark arts have reached 3 stars. Even though I was born with a low-grade martial body, this growth is already miraculous. 3 quick slashes were now unleashed on the tree trunk. Sung Min's attacks are much faster and cleaner now. He thought to himself again, this mountain is harsh, but the challenge is worth it. During the day, I'll use the 9 Heavens Spear technique, Sung Min's style, and at night, I'll use the dark arts. My body is still heavy, and the food still tastes awful, but I'm making every moment of every day count. With every step I take, I feel like my bones are about to break. My muscles feel like they're being torn apart every time I swing the spear. Sung Min encouraged himself, I have to do this, because that's the goal I set for myself. Thinking that, he checked his current condition. Come to think of it, my body has gotten a little bigger. I can't wear these clothes anymore. Just then, someone intentionally let out an appreciative sound. A deep, warm voice offered a compliment, making Sung Min stop in his tracks. You're quite skilled with the spear. He turned around instinctively. The other person was sitting leisurely on a rock and continued, I've never seen you before. It's a pleasure to meet you. This is the first time I've met someone my own age. I'm Flam. This was the very name the other practitioners had warned Sung Min about, so his expression tensed. Flam, however, was completely relaxed and asked, What's your name? Sung Min suddenly remembered his first meeting with the practitioners. Scarlet, leaning against a rock, had asked cryptically, Have you ever met a true genius? It's like no matter how hard others try, it means nothing. He surpasses everyone with ridiculous ease. That's how talented he is. Even Bexogo had seriously warned him, "Don't meet Flam, you'll only find despair." But life is unpredictable, and Flam was now right in front of Sungmin. Sungmin's stubborn expression amused Flam. "I just asked for your name. Why are you so scared?" He tried to keep his voice steady. "I am Lee Sungmin." Flam smiled, his uniquely colored eyes shining with amusement. "I guess you've heard about me from the others, huh? Why didn't you come say hello? I need a friend my own age." Sungmin turned his back decisively. He believed the earlier warnings and was very cold. "I'm sorry, I have to train." Flam looked sad. "Train?" Even as Sungmin walked away, he was still thinking, "You are a true, absurd genius. I've been seeing a real genius for this entire year already. Turns out he wasn't really scared. I don't have time to waste on someone like that." Flam called out from behind him. "Who are you planning to train with?" Sungmin answered gruffly, his voice barely audible. "Can't you guess? With this spear, obviously." His voice trailed off as he realized the spear in his hand had vanished at some point. Following his instinct, Sungmin turned back to see it was already in Flam's hands. He was cheerfully admiring it. "A spear. This is my first time using one." Flam tilted his head, a gentle smile on his lips, but his eyes were incredibly challenging. Sungmin froze. "Since when?" Flam's action just now was like a hammer blow to Sungmin's head. The greatest humiliation for a martial artist is to be disarmed. But before he could get angry, he felt confused. Confused because he had a question bigger than his lost honor. How did he do that? Flam seemed to be deliberately feigning innocence. "Why are you so surprised? I just borrowed what you were holding. I'll give it back after I've used it for a bit. Don't get mad, okay?" Just then, his expression changed, radiating a dangerous intelligence. "I wonder if I can copy what you just did. Let's see. You did this, right?" It only took Flam 3 seconds to master the Nine Heavens spear technique. Sungmin's style, the second form. Flam's brain replayed a vivid image of Sungmin splitting the ancient tree into 3 parts just a few minutes earlier. Back in the present, Flam leaped into the air, executing a few light identical slashes, even adding the splitting light pursuit. Another ancient tree was chopped into pieces, the slashes far more terrifying and deadly. Not stopping at just one tree, Flam went big, felling the entire section of forest in front of him. He smugly praised the technique. "That spear art is pretty good." Sungmin's jaw dropped, his eyes as wide as they could go. He can use a spear technique he only saw once? He even upgraded it and used it. Could Ouija Hoyun do that? He couldn't help but blurt out, "Amazing." Flam turned his face halfway, hiding a sinister smile that was far beyond his years. But when he looked straight at Sungmin, he pretended to squint his eyes cheerfully. "Right? I'm better than you, huh?" This remark made Sungmin flush with shame. Flam puffed out his chest, revealing his arrogance as he emphasized his words in a high-pitched voice. "Actually, I don't really get it. Why does everyone come here to train so hard, no matter how hard everyone tries? I can catch up to them just by watching them. Do you know why? Why can't everyone else do what I do? Why does everyone train so hard, even though they can't do what I do?" Flam's smug face stabbed at Sungmin's heart. He showed his disgust openly. Flam stepped closer, feigning sadness. "Uncle Dako, Sister Bexogo and that stinky demon, every time I ask them that, they get angry and chase me away. Swordsmanship, movement techniques, and magic. I can easily copy them all. How can they be like that?" This naive person in front of me was turning Sungmin's entire worldview upside down. In my eyes, the other practitioners on this mountain were all already rare talents. But there are geniuses who make even them seem insignificant here. True geniuses. As an ordinary person, what am I supposed to think of them? I saw the difference when I met Iji Hoyon. Even though he said he was a genius, he never flaunted it in front of me. But this guy, he knows how he looks in the eyes of an ordinary person, and he delights in showing it off. Flam cheerfully started the conversation again. "So what's your prohibition?" he chattered incessantly in Sungbin's ear. "Tell me your prohibition and I'll tell you mine." "I want to know, and you do too, right? Aren't you curious?" "I have 4 prohibitions, you know." Sungbin bluntly shot back, "I don't want to know. Do you have a prohibition against being humble?" Flam, ever the trickster, raised the spear higher and ran after Lee Sungmin. "Where are you going? Take your spear back!" Furious, he spun on his heel, his eyes glaring as if they were about to explode. I don't need it. Get lost. Don't you come near me again. Seeing his intense reaction, Flam let out a strange laugh. How weird. I don't think I did anything wrong. Why are you so upset with me? Or maybe you should just stop wasting your time and go down the mountain? With your skill level, you could probably make a decent living. Sungbin couldn't hold back any longer and swung his fist at that face. However, the prohibition prevented any physical contact. Flam, who knew all the rules by heart, stood calmly in place. Did you forget? We can't fight on this mountain. And with a slight extension of his fingers, he pushed away Sungbin's tensed arm. You're so weak. What the hell were you thinking, throwing a punch like that? Flam said as he gently grabbed Sungbin's wrist and twisted it back down. Or were you planning to go all out since you can't get hurt because of the rules? You must live a hard life, having to choose when you can vent your anger. Flam, still holding Sungbin's hand, placed the spear back with its rightful owner, intentionally speaking loudly. I know you're hiding and listening. Hearing this, Bek Sogo dropped her invisibility. Flam shrugged and chuckled. Don't look at me like that. I was just giving him his spear back, and he was the one who attacked first. Lee Sungmin, the spear technique you used is a great martial art, but you're not very good at using it. The more profound a martial art is, the harder it is to master. I'm not sure if you can even reach 6 stars. With your kind of talent, I'll teach you something useful on this mountain. The harder the prohibition, the greater the blessing that Mercy, the goddess of trials, will grant. The more you push yourself to the limit, the faster you'll get stronger. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you want to get stronger, the prohibition... His mouth ran on uncontrollably, so Bek Sogo had to step in and cover it. She seemed to not want Sung Min to hear the full advice. She grabbed Flam's hair and yanked it up. He understood and stuck his tongue out playfully to brush it off. At that moment, Sung Bin clenched his teeth and took off running. Bek Sogo opened her mouth and craned her neck, wanting to call out to him, but the prohibition took effect, instantly choking her throat. Bek Sogo coughed a few times, watching helplessly as he ran into the distance. Sung Bin ran, the 2 words talent embedded deep in his mind. He bit his lip so hard it drew blood. Flam's words were like a hypnotic suggestion to Sung Min. He called the name of the goddess, Mercy! Feeling it wasn't enough, Sung Min stopped, threw his chest out, craned his neck, and screamed at the top of his lungs, Mercy! An ethereal voice drifted from behind him. Speak, human. Sung Min's hand, gripping the spear, was now dripping blood, but his words were incredibly firm. I will add another prohibition. The light in the forest suddenly vanished, replaced by a magical and dreamlike darkness. The sudden change made Sung Min's tear-filled eyes fly open. His dry lips formed the question, Where is this? Not far from him was a small figure with hair so long it touched the ground. The corner of her mouth curved into a mischievous smile. This is my domain. A pleasure to meet you, human. I am Mercy. Sung Bin wiped the blood and tears from his face. Hearing the introduction, his mind instantly reeled. A god. Sung Bin calmed himself and asked again, You are Mercy? Mercy pulled her legs up, sitting cross-legged in midair. Just now you screamed my name repeatedly, calling for me like an animal and cursing me. I don't feel respected at all, so let's drop the pretense. So, you want to add another prohibition? Sung Bin nodded resolutely. Yes. She glanced at the 2 prohibitions on him. Taste. Wait, Mercy smirked. You can't even handle those 2, and yet you still want to add more? He hesitated for a second, then replied, I can do it. Mercy's voice carried a hidden meaning. Is that so? You're acting so bold. Is it because you've returned from the dead? Sung Bin looked in disbelief at her star-bright eyes. How? Did you know that? Mercy smiled. The eyes of a god can see through the causality of mortals. Every mortal is destined to die from the moment they are born. To go against that is to go against the very nature of causality. Those who resist that law and break the barriers of their fate, they are called transcendent beings. Like you. You are not a transcendent being like them, but you have defied causality. Even though you died, you returned to the past and lived again. Every single one of Mercy's words sent his heart into turmoil. My defying causality. Will it have a negative effect on me? The mischievous one tucked in its legs, flipped upside down, and then answered, All existence has a cause and effect. That is the natural order. But for some reason you have defied death. And in that process, your soul has incurred a great karmic debt, but it won't affect you while you're alive. After you die, you will have to suffer for hundreds of millions of hours. That is the price for defying the law of cause and effect. Sungmin was silent, swallowing hard. His eyes narrowed slightly as he pondered. Finally, he affirmed, "I don't care if it only affects me after I die." A moment later, Beko finally found Sungmin. Seeing him huddled against a tree, she vaguely guessed, "Did you add another taboo?" His voice trembled along with his body. "It seems I've made you worry." Beko frowned angrily, her face tense with displeasure. Slowly, she transformed her anger into a helpless sigh. "What taboo did you add?" The next second, Beko shuddered when she heard Sungmin's answer. "Warmth and dreams." At this, she couldn't hold back anymore. She exploded, shouting, "Are you crazy? You know that taboos on senses and abstract concepts are even harsher." Sungmin had already realized this before. He told himself, "That's right." The taboo on warmth made Lee Sungmin constantly feel a chill, no matter how close he was to a fire. The chills that ran through his body would never stop. And the taboo on dreams. This was exponentially more terrifying. His memories of Earth, his parents, his childhood fears, the anxiety from having the taboo, all of them appeared in their worst forms, ruining Lee Sungmin's dreams. Sleep was no longer a way to rest and relax. The taboo didn't allow Lee Sungmin to rest. Beko was speechless. Her small mouth twitched, but she only managed to suppress the curse. "You idiot!" But she still couldn't help but step closer and ask, "What were you thinking, doing something so reckless? To be able to reach this level at your age? You'll soon—" Sungmin deliberately cut her off. "I don't have it." The cryptic words left Beko momentarily stunned and confused. Sungmin's lifeless, cold eyes looked up. "Talent. I don't have it." Hearing this, Beko began to understand a hidden part of him. True, his martial arts achievements were very good for his age, but his progress was slow compared to the number of taboos he had. The disparity between talent and his skills, it was a fact that he had no talent. "Who is this guy, really?" Sungmin suddenly wanted to confide. "I have a goal. With my talent, it's very difficult to achieve it," he said, his lips cold, yet his gaze was incredibly sharp. "I did this. Not because I was angry after meeting Flam, he just showed me what I needed to do. To be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with those who have extraordinary talent, I must also do extraordinary things." The atmosphere grew heavy. Beko stood silently, looking at him for a long time. She gradually became more understanding, her trembling gaze holding a gentleness. At that moment, Sungmin bit his lip hard, having perhaps made up his mind. A small smile gently formed on Beko's lips. She squatted down to get a better look at Sungmin's face. "It seems you have a rather lofty goal." Beko stuck out her tongue playfully. "I think I understand how you feel. My goal is to become the strongest person in this world." The tense atmosphere dissipated. Sungmin returned to his normal state. Beko cheerfully brought up the past. "You asked me to teach you the light body technique before, right?" He slowly stood up and admitted shyly, "I was just kidding." Beko became serious again. "I'll teach you." Sungmin was stunned, exclaiming, "Huh?" Suiting action to her words, Beko took out an old book. "This is the secret manual for the Shadowless Spirit Step. This martial art is both a light body technique and a secret art, and this is what I've learned about light body techniques. Its name is Shadowless Spirit Step." Sungmin immediately opened it to read, his eyes widening in disbelief. "This martial art, it's on par with the Purple Secret Art and the 9 Heavenly Spears." Because it was so rare, Sungmin became even more curious. "Why are you giving this to me?" Beko replied nonchalantly. "I don't know. If you die, you die. But I don't think you're the type to give up. From now on, call me senior sister," she said, then plopped down right next to him. Was it empathy, or was she just looking at Sungmin's dazed expression? She let out a giggle, revealing that she seemed to want to tease him again. Beko playfully finished her unfinished sentence. "Because I'm kind," he said, annoyed and a bit irritated. "What are you talking about? Seriously." After that, Sungmin added a skill. "You have learned Shadowless Spirit Step. Status list. Lee Sungmin. No class. Low-grade trait. Skills. Purple Secret Art, 3 stars. 9 Heavenly Spears. Sungmin style, 2 stars. Iron-breaking strength, 8 stars. Light step body art, 6 stars. Shadowless spirit step, 1 star. The past replayed in his mind like a film rewinding. The time he was trained by Hoyon. Day and night, he only held a spear, practicing the moves until they were perfect. 9 heavenly spears, Sungmin style. First form, soul-chasing spear. 1 sun, Chasayang killing strike. Hoyon didn't underestimate him. Her eyes narrowed as she observed, then she raised a hand and blocked it effortlessly. Sungmin gritted his teeth, stubbornly refusing to back down. He changed his fighting style, putting his weapon behind him and driving his knee into her. Useless. He brought out his spear again, unleashing the aura of the 9 heavenly spears. Sungmin style. 5th form, fatal lightning flash. Hoyon stood perfectly still, letting her opponent struggle to attack in every way possible. She only needed to flash step once, to crush both of Sungmin's arms as if they were stones. While he was staring blankly at his severed arms, Hoyon spoke calmly. I am disappointed in you, Lee Sungmin. This is all you've achieved. After 15 years of arduous training, teaching you martial arts was truly my mistake. It seems 15 years of hope and effort have been wasted. You don't need to do this anymore, because I will be leaving after I take back everything I gave you. Hoyon's palm opened, lightly tapping Sungmin's lower abdomen. A murderous glint flashed in her red pupils. I have destroyed your Dantian. You will never be able to practice martial arts again. Farewell, Lee Sungmin. He desperately reached out, trying to catch her departing figure. Wait, Wiji Hoyon! His body now felt like a loosely connected pile of rubble. The slightest touch was enough to make it crumble. Sungmin screamed, Wait! I can still keep going! Wiji Hoyon! The demon of the past vanished. Back in reality, Sungmin was panting in terror. He shot up abruptly, clutching his chest and groaning. Sungmin tried to calm himself down. He looked at his palm, reassuring himself. A dream. It was just a dream. He caught his breath, sighing in relief. Thank goodness. Scarlet, who had appeared behind him at some point, asked with a mischievous look, So, who's Wiji Hoyon? Startled, he whipped his head around to look. She pried relentlessly. Is she your girlfriend? She's hot. Is she a kid too? Rumor has it you've added 2 more restrictions. Let's see. As Scarlet got closer, a smell hit Sungmin's nose. He couldn't help but grimace. It stinks. She rudely pried his eyes open to inspect them. You really did take the no dreams restriction, didn't you? You're insane. Sungmin struggled to endure it, his eyes stinging from the foul smell. Oblivious, Scarlet casually opened her mouth and breathed in his face. I heard you also took the no warmth restriction. You only picked the tough ones. You're going to die young. Sungmin finally couldn't take it anymore. He jerked away and retched violently, startling Scarlet. What's wrong with you all of a sudden? Are you sick? Dr. Beck, who was also there, said, It's because you're too close to him. She grumbled indignantly. That's ridiculous. I came here to help him. He too was afraid of her stench. Don't turn this way. Sungmin looked at them and muttered in confusion. Scarlet, the future archmage, and the magic sword, W.B. Jun. Sungmin staggered to his feet. Sorry, my body is pretty weak right now. Why are you two here? Scarlet remembered and answered cheerfully. We're here to help. The mute girl kept asking us to help you. Seeing Baek Sogo holding her nose the whole time was annoying her. If you want my help, take your hand off your nose. Hearing that, Sungmin was suddenly moved and thought to himself, Senior sister. Scarlet's voice was full of excitement. So I bought this. She snapped her fingers, revealing 4 scrolls. These are magic scrolls. We otherworlders can learn magic if we have these scrolls. So they're really useful. First off, this magic is... After Scarlet finished explaining everything, it was the other person's turn. Beck, with his sword and muscular body, stepped forward. I don't know if you can handle this today. His whole body was still swaying, but he said defiantly, I'll do my best. The two faced each other and bowed, following the sparring etiquette. Sungmin engraved this moment in his memory. Scarlet taught me 4 types of magic. Sungmin began to cast the spells on himself one by one. The first spell is Mind Purification. Mind Purification, it purifies my mind, which has been tainted by nightmares. His dark eyes immediately cleared and brightened. Right after, he cast the next spell on his body. The second spell is a simple one. It can make me stronger or faster. Strength, speed. Now, Sungmin could lift his spear and leap forward. It's very useful when dealing with the weight restriction. After a long time, when the sky had turned a pale yellow, he was lying exhausted on the ground, panting heavily in defeat. The third spell, Stamina Recovery. Thanks to it, Sungmin could sit up as usual. It's a spell to restore stamina. Overusing it can lead to life force depletion and even death. But to endure this difficult training, I have no other choice. Dr. Beck seemed disappointed as he let out a sigh. In the end, this time, you still couldn't last 100 seconds against this old blind man. He gritted his teeth and promised, "Next time, I'll do better." Suddenly, a shiver ran through him, making his body freeze like a stone statue. Sungmin's whole body tensed up, catching Beck's attention. Is it the no warmth restriction again? His fingers quickly moved over Sungmin's body, examining him. He lightly pressed a few vital points on his body. Immediately, his blood vessels began to activate vigorously. Soon after, the doctor removed his hands from Sungmin's body when he saw it was no longer trembling. Feeling better? He bowed his head gratefully. Yes, thank you. The magic sword, Dr. Jun, pressed my blood vessels to promote circulation, so I could withstand the no warmth restriction. With his work done, he started to head back to his place as usual, with a brief farewell. Well then, I'll be going. Take care. It's hard to find someone to spar with on this mountain. He didn't forget to politely say thank you. Sungmin let out a breath, steadying his body. If I hadn't received that help, I would have died a long time ago. After a while, the world fell into an indescribable, peaceful silence. He leaned back and lay down, reflecting on a few things. After I regressed, so many people have helped me. The more he thought about it, the more confused he felt. He suddenly sat up as he thought of a detail he had overlooked. Wait, how is this possible? It's very unusual. I'm sure that after I regressed, everyone has been much friendlier to me. The area I lived in wasn't such a friendly place. This is completely different from my past life. What's happening right now? Scarlet emerged from the forest, calling out curtly. Old Man Dobby, recognizing her voice, asked, "What is it, little girl?" She began to harass and threaten the old man. "The moment we get off this mountain, I'll burn you to a crisp. How can you be so harsh with me? Just because I haven't bathed for a few days? Are you on your way back from fighting with that kid today?" He nodded, adding a few words of praise. "Even though he's slow, he's getting better little by little." Scarlet let out a sarcastic laugh. "You're quite dedicated to him, aren't you?" To an old man who only cares about martial arts, Dobby saw it as a matter of course. "I was asked for help, wasn't I?" He then asked Scarlet in return, "You're also creating magic scrolls yourself, after you were asked for help, right? What's this?" She wiped the sarcastic smile from her lips and stared at Dobby. After a long moment, Scarlet hesitantly tried to explain, "Well, I don't know why. I don't. But when I see him, I just can't bring myself to ignore him." While the two were talking in a corner, Sungmin's entire body was emitting a pitch-black dark aura. After a moment of confusion, he became optimistic and carefree again. Let's not think about it too much. I just got lucky in this life." Just like that, a lot of time had passed. Half a year later, the purple, colorless screen still enveloped the mountain where Sungmin trained. A familiar hand in a gray-blue glove was trembling. Like every other day, Sungmin trained diligently. The heavy breathing always came when he was exhausted. Today, after finishing his training, Sungmin collapsed to his knees. He braced his hands on the ground, panting heavily. With his head bowed, sweat dripped down profusely. Then he slowly raised his head. His disheveled hair fell across his face, but it couldn't hide his determined gaze. Just like their first meeting, Flam suddenly appeared in front of Sungmin and greeted him. "Larva, half a year ago I didn't think you'd last. But it's been a year now, hasn't it?" He observed Sungmin with that same innocent demeanor. Since he didn't bother to reply, Flam moved closer and asked, "Huh? Are you ignoring me because we haven't seen each other in a while? Why aren't you saying anything? Did you take a vow of silence? You added that one after you passed the half-year mark, huh? You picked the easiest one, didn't you? There's not much to talk about in the mountains anyway." Flam chattered on without stopping. "I thought you'd only choose the difficult vows, but it looks like you couldn't handle it." His chattering mouth froze when Sungmin suddenly swung his spear. Flam, momentarily surprised, stopped to analyze. "Look at this. He's a completely different person from half a year ago. His parries, blocks, and thrusts are all very clean. It seems the light body techniques he learned from Baek Sogo have synchronized very well." Flam rubbed his chin, tilting his head and praising him mockingly. "Looks like even a larva can get somewhere. If it tries hard enough to crawl, huh? But is this all you can do, even after taking 5 vows? Despite his enthusiastic questions, Sungmin absolutely refused to even glance at him. The cheerful expression on Flam's face gradually faded. His eyes widened as he watched that cold, retreating back. Just as Sungmin's spear swung down again, Flam blocked it with his hand. His face darkened as he interrogated him. "Why are you ignoring me, huh?" "Don't use the vow of silence as an excuse because I can understand you by reading your lips," Sungmin replied, panting. "Don't you have anything better to do?" A frightening wickedness began to show in Flam's eyes. "That's not going to work. I can look down on you, but you can't look down on me. You're not allowed to do that." Sungmin, amused, provoked him further. "What are you going to do? Try and kill me? Weren't you the one who told me about the no-violence rule?" The moment Sungmin finished his sentence, Flam jabbed him in the stomach with his own weapon. He fell flat on the ground. Flam, regaining his joy, cheered with delight. "How pathetic. Are you crawling on the ground because you're a larva?" Scrambling to his feet, Sungmin felt like he'd had an epiphany. "I get it. So indirect damage is possible, huh? Look at you. You can't even do this, can you?" Seeing the faint blue light radiating from the spearhead, Sungmin was stunned for a moment. Blade Kai. This is a skill where martial arts masters can channel their internal energy into a weapon to significantly increase its destructive power. Flam took Sungmin's spear and set it aside. Then he asked in a loud voice, "How long will it take you to do this, huh? 5 years? 55? I'm not sure. You probably won't be able to do it before you die." Although Flam's actual age was young, every word he spoke was full of profound meaning. Isn't this world so unfair? You have to work your butt off to get where you want to be. But I can get there easily. Even though your efforts are meaningless, you're still going to continue, aren't you? Sungmin didn't bother to argue or get angry, replying indifferently, "Yeah." Flam's face went blank, and he pouted resentfully. Sungmin then added, "If I just assume I'm talentless, then the despair will never end. Thanks for coming here when I was getting sick of training. According to you, my efforts are almost meaningless, but I can try in a way that geniuses like you guys can't. No matter how long it takes, I'll slowly keep trying, just like a larva." His demeanor changed 180 degrees. "So go on, keep being arrogant. Someday I'll shove a spear right through that confident body of yours." After saying that, Sungmin raised his hand and pointed his finger at Flam's face without the slightest hesitation. The sharp tip of the spear was enhanced with his aura. It easily pierced the hard tree bark. In the next instant, a deep chunk was gouged out of the trunk. Flam scoffed lightly. The energy within Sungmin was now tinged with darkness. Because of that, Flam's tone changed as well. "If you can pierce it like that, then I'll really look forward to that day. The day you give up and cry your eyes out." Sungmin bluntly retorted, "In your dreams." Time passed again. A month later, Lee Sungmin had been an ascetic for 1 year. Mercy appeared to remind him it's time to choose a new prohibition. 4. Making a split-second decision, Sungmin clearly uttered one word: hearing. The prohibition of hearing was a tough one. Lee Sungmin's ears were filled with horrifying sounds. He couldn't stand it. 6 prohibitions. Although he faced death every day, he still swung his spear daily, the movements familiar to the point of being tedious. A high block, then a parry, and finishing with a thrust. 9 heavenly spears, Sungmin's style. From the shadowless ghost movement technique, fighting with Do Wi-hyun, learning from Baek Sogo and Scarlet. Scarlet wasn't much help. She just raised an eyebrow and asked back, "What do you want me to do?" The stronger Lee Sungmin became, the heavier his body felt. Food tasted worse. His dreams became more violent. Even the chills that ran down his spine grew more frequent, and there was always noise in his 2 ears. But sometimes it was a relief, as it blocked out the nuisance of Flam, who would occasionally come looking for him. Now, watching him ramble on, Sungmin just stared blankly and asked, "What is he saying?" And so, as slow as a larva, Lee Sungmin continued to progress. Suddenly, he was brought to that familiar mystical space. He asked softly, "Mercy's space? Why have you summoned me here?" "There's still some time before I need to add a new prohibition." The being turned its head gently to look at him. "Ascetic Lee Sungmin, congratulations on overcoming my trial." Hearing this, Sungmin's face filled with shock. "A trial? What do you mean?" Suddenly, Mercy transformed into Flam. The answer was a taunt. "This is what I mean." It wasn't that Mercy became Flam, but that the being had summoned his image. Flam, the being spoke clearly. In short, that's it. Flam's very existence was a trial, do you understand? Sungmin nodded, swallowing hard, along with his suspicions. So, that's how it was. Baek Sogo, Scarlet, Do Wihyun, those who had trained for over half a year on this mountain. They all became powerful and reputable figures in Eria. But I've never heard of Flam. There's no way he'd be unknown if he were that talented. Sungmin didn't want to waste time speculating, so he asked directly, I always thought it was strange, but to think he never existed in the first place. The illusion of Flam flew out and confirmed, correct. I use my overwhelming talent as a trial to make ascetics despair. Baek Sogo, Scarlet, Do Wihyun. Even those with great talent would look at me and feel despair. They would just turn tail and run, but you, despite having no talent, you did not avoid me. Instead, you made me your goal. Furthermore, you threw yourself into an even harsher trial. It was a reckless way to solve the problem. But I was unable to make you despair. Flam and Mercy, two sides of the same coin, held a certain expectation for Sungmin. I like your recklessness. Faced with that half-real, half-illusory sentiment, he remained silent, not reacting. Mercy ended the conversation with a warning. That is all. Do not reveal Flam's identity to the other ascetics, or you will taste the wrath of the gods. Will you continue to train on this mountain? Sungmin answered decisively. Of course. Mercy closed their eyes and smiled, satisfied. The reward for overcoming my trial will be given to you when you leave this mountain. How about this? If you give me your soul, I will give you strength you couldn't obtain even after 100 years of training. A twisted soul like yours is quite valuable. Sungmin flared up, sticking out his tongue and cursing. I don't need that kind of deal. Mercy sneered. Then you will continue to crawl slowly and train diligently. Sungmin was stunned, his nerves paralyzed, unable to move. He hated the word effort. Hated. Different starting points. No matter how hard Sungmin tried, he couldn't catch up to the geniuses. But being a genius doesn't mean you don't have to try. In the end, Sungmin hated those who dismissed the difference between what happened and what didn't, simply by blaming it on a lack of effort. But at the same time, he yearned for that word, effort, because in his past life he had used defeatism as an escape, without ever truly trying. A bridging question led his mood in another direction. How have you been living lately? Sungmin had many fateful encounters. He no longer used the excuse of having a different starting point. Having lost his escape, he had no choice but to move forward. Only now was Sungmin beginning to try. So now, he would struggle to the very end. Sungmin was starting to like the word effort quite a lot. Mercy turned their back to him with a flick of their head. I'll just talk to myself for a bit. There are no coincidences in Eria. The law of causality. Everything has a reason. Eria summoned otherworlders from different dimensions and gave them benefits in the form of skills. For what purpose? For what reason could that be? Sungmin stood frozen like a statue. What are they saying? They said they were talking to themselves, but they're clearly talking to me. It means they're saying something they shouldn't be saying to me. But they're trying to say it indirectly. But why? Mercy's sudden silence made his stomach churn even more. You have finally revealed the most important thing. If you returned, it means something is about to happen. And it needed you to come back. If you came back, you need to be ready to be worthy of the reason for your regression. Clusters of stars connected, illuminating sections of the dark sky. Mercy let out a sigh of relief, clicked their tongue, and thought to themselves, all right, that's that. Suddenly, the being glared with fury. It suddenly raised a hand to block something forcefully. Stop! This is my domain. Retreat unless you wish to be annihilated. Despite the warning, the figure behind the glass obediently retreated. The ripple on the glass gradually shrank until it vanished completely. Sungbin just stood there, dumbfounded, not understanding a thing. Mosi only remembered him a moment later. Now come back. I don't think you have time to waste, do you? Go and complete your training. With that, he immediately threw Sungmin into a pitch-black space. His hand trembled, the doubt in his mind growing ever larger. Wait, can he really stop it? Finally, after several days, the sixth prohibition was chosen, the sense of smell. It was horrible. The smell coming from the top of Scarlet's head constantly made Sungmin's nose itch. She wasn't aware of this, so she just glared and cursed at him. What is it, you bastard? You want to die? While Sung-min was brooding, a gentle voice rang out. You really shouldn't have chosen the sense of smell. Turning around, he saw Baek Sogo approaching and called out reflexively, Senior sister. Sung-min slowly answered her question. Because the harder the prohibition, the more power you receive. Other than feeling disgusted, swallowing hard, and dry heaving a few times, I'm doing pretty okay. Baek Sogo's new prohibitions were taste and hearing. The pain of losing almost all her senses was far more terrible than her previous prohibitions. Baek Sogo, with dark circles under her eyes, looked at him with sympathy. Now Sung-min understood the hardship she had gone through. The prohibition of the senses was much worse than he had thought. He let out a faint laugh. Baek Sogo continued, I have something to tell you. She straightened her back and lowered her voice seriously. I will be leaving this mountain soon. Fearing Sung-min wouldn't believe her, Baek Sogo deliberately looked into his eyes for a long time. Sung-bin took a few moments to think. In truth, Baek Sogo didn't have to suffer that much, because she was a genius. He looked at Baek Sogo. She had been on this mountain for 2 years already. I'm sure she's already achieved her goal. Sung-bin slowly asked again, So, you're really planning to leave? Baek Sogo nodded. Yes. She then asked, What about you? Sung-bin answered honestly, I'll be staying here a little longer. Baek Sogo looked sad. She puffed out her cheeks. Is that so? Even so, it was Sung-min who took the initiative. Will we be able to see each other again? Baek Sogo didn't mince words, emphasizing the yes. Definitely. I will see you again. Baek Sogo's gloomy face lit up with a gentle smile. She was looking very carefully at Sung-min's face. It's been a year since we first met. The little boy from back then is now as tall as me. If I leave now, he might die. He keeps taking on more prohibitions even though he's already pushing himself too hard. I still haven't finished teaching him the no-shadow spirit steps. Maybe if I stay a little longer. As if sensing Baek Sogo's worries, Sung-bin raised his head and declared confidently, I'll be fine. It's thanks to you that I've been able to last this long. I can handle things on my own now. You have things you need to do, don't you? I can't ask you to stay because of me. Thank you, senior sister. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even be alive right now. Baek Sogo's mouth curved into a bright smile. Then she stepped forward, wrapped Sung-min in a hug and ruffled his hair. It was his first time being this close to a girl, so all he could do was stare wide-eyed as his cheeks flushed bright red. He was so flustered his eyes were practically bulging. After a moment, his racing heart returned to normal. Sung-min rested his head on her shoulder and stood still. A field of purple flowers enlivened the remote mountain region. A few quiet minutes passed before Baek Sogo gently stepped back. She gave Sung-min one last word of encouragement. You'll do just fine. You're the most resilient person I've ever met. He asked naively, What do you mean by that? Baek Sogo emphasized, You don't despair. Sung-bin immediately denied it. That's not true. I've despaired time and time again. I just pull myself back up. Baek Sogo's expression didn't change. Then that makes you even more amazing. I gave up on confronting Flam after I met him. She slowly spoke an affectionate title, reserved only for Sung-min. Junior brother. Her final advice came with a radiant smile. Don't you die, okay? Sung-min affirmed, I will never die. And just like that, Baek Sogo was gone. Do-ji-hoon and Scarlet also went down the mountain. Everyone Sung-min knew on this mountain had left. It had been a long time since he'd felt so alone. Sung-bin remembered how guarded he used to be. In his past life's childhood, he didn't trust anyone. But now, Sung-bin knew that people couldn't live in solitude. Without them, he wouldn't be alive right now. The moment of being alone made Sung-min look up at the sky from time to time. But he wasn't sad. He smiled and accepted it. Something had changed in Sung-min's heart. The invisible wall had crumbled. At that moment, there was no foul smell, no weight, and no noise. The feeling of freedom flashed by, yet it felt like it lasted for an eternity. The everyday scenery looked different for some reason. That's right. When you change, the world changes with you. Summer had arrived, and the cicadas began to chirp. 7 years from now, Baek Sogo would meet Wijihoyon in that dungeon, and be killed by him. A desire ignited within Sung-bin, forging itself into a crucial goal. To repay Baek Sogo's kindness to him, he would stop that from happening. Therefore, he poured all his energy into training day and night. Today, he had aimed perfectly at a cicada. The spear tip stopped just short of it, a tiny gap of 1 millimeter. The moment Sungbin relaxed his grip on the spear, it flapped its wings and flew away. Instantly. Cicadas. Cicada larvae spend 15 years underground to become adults. Sungbin only had 7 years to prevent that disaster. He wondered to himself, in 7 years, how strong could he become? Could he really do it? Number 1, I will definitely do it. Although his martial arts skills were improving daily, it still wasn't enough. He wanted more, increasing the intensity each day. He slept less and practiced swinging his spear. During the time he would have been sleeping, and as he considered his next self-imposed restriction, he recalled a conversation with Dr. Bai. The secret to moving even when you can't see. There's nothing special to it. Just sharpen your remaining senses and memorize your surroundings. It was this advice that pushed him to impose the visual restriction. The world turned black. The only sense Lee Sungmin could rely on was touch. After a week passed, he could move, little by little. The only thing he could hear in the dark world was a deafening noise that at some point began to sound like cicadas. Amidst the chirping, Lee Sungmin lost track of time. He just kept swinging his spear, his body starting to perform the martial arts automatically, and he began to think more. I am a larva. What does a larva want to become? Do I want to become a cicada? After crawling to the surface to chirp for a short time, do they still want to be cicadas? No more. What do I want to become? Why did I regress? Why have the seasons changed? I can feel that the temperature of the wind on my skin has changed. Sungmin's daily life remained the same. He just swung his spear everywhere. As the seasons passed and Sungmin grew accustomed to the world of darkness, more time went by. Sungmin stepped back into the fantastical space as he always did and called the name of a ruler. Mercy. By now, the image of the young boy Sungmin was gone, replaced by a tall, muscular build and a man's voice. He wanted to stop the trial. Mercy appeared, bringing a soft purple light that shone on Sungmin. He opened his palm, looking at it pensively. Mercy simply asked, "How do you feel?" After so long feeling his senses again, he answered in a low voice, "I'm very happy about it. I can see and I don't smell any stench. Nor do I hear any noise. My body feels so light and the cold has vanished. This is truly the feeling of freedom." Seeing Mercy tilting her head in thought, Sungmin asked curiously, "What is it?" She smiled and replied, "I'm just wondering what to give you." But first, Mercy offered words of understanding. 3 years. You have spent 3 years on this mountain. You have done very well, enduring all the restrictions. Some people have endured many self-imposed prohibitions because of their enthusiasm, but they usually give up or die very quickly. It's rare for a practitioner like you to appear, and I am very pleased about that. I want to give you something good, so I will ask you now, what do you want? Sungmin's eyes lit up. He asked greedily, "Can you make me a martial arts genius?" Mercy laughed scornfully. "I cannot do that. It's too much to ask." Hearing this, Sungmin thought quietly. He analyzed carefully before making a decision. "I can't achieve my goal with something that isn't good enough. I don't have much time. I have to get stronger, but I don't know what I need to become stronger. Can you give me what I need?" Mercy paused for a moment, then gave a mischievous smile. "In that case, what you need is time, isn't it? I can give you time." That firm declaration stunned Sungmin. "What?" Mercy didn't explain further. "Go to Dream Mall and show this emblem to Daniel," the unfamiliar name she had just mentioned. Sungmin mumbled, "Daniel?" Mercy briefly introduced him. "He is a god of time. He will give you a trial. And I'll tell you in advance, compared to him, my trial was quite humane. Therefore, I think you will like his trials. Just like here, what you gain will depend on you. Of course, it will also be very dangerous." Sungmin wasn't cautious or afraid. He lifted his lips into an amused smile. "That's exactly what I want." Mercy raised her glowing fingertips. "That is all for the reward for passing the trial of Flam. Next, I will give you the reward for your efforts over the past 3 years. Sungmin was stunned by her generosity. "Gods are quite generous, aren't they?" Mercy said it lightly, as if it were an obvious truth. "Gods are not stingy." The gifts Sungmin received didn't stop there. The second reward will be an offer for you to become a member of Erebrisa. An elegantly dressed man bowed eagerly. "A pleasure to meet you." I am Neville, a broker from Erebrisa. Lord Mercy. Is this the gentleman you wish to recommend for membership? Mercy answered succinctly. That's right, he expressed sincerely. With all due respect, I'm afraid he does not meet the qualifications to become a member of our guild. Mercy immediately retorted, What? Take a closer look, Neville. After observing for a few more seconds, Neville suddenly bowed his head. Oh my goodness, I apologize. Upon closer inspection, I see you fully meet the qualifications. Please forgive me for only seeing that your martial artist rank was not high, and making such a hasty decision. Sungmin growled, dissatisfied. What? At my age, with this martial artist rank, and I should be treated well wherever I go. But you think I still lack a lot of skills? What's wrong with your mighty guild, model? Neville calmly replied, Erebrisa is an intermediary association that serves our clients' requests. We handle item orders, auctions, and information. We provide them with everything. A novel idea piqued Sungmin's curiosity. Auctions. Do you sell elixirs and martial arts manuals? He snapped his fingers. Of course. A system window with item information appeared before Sungmin. He exclaimed, What? You're selling the Shaolin's recovery elixir? With that kind of money, I could buy so many other things. And it's ridiculously expensive, and you have the Wudang's Plum Blossom sword technique, too? Neville maintained his respectful bow. That is what Erebrisa has to offer. We also sell a variety of other rare items. It seems you are quite interested in our wares, sir. Sungmin looked up at Mercy. You're a member, too, aren't you? She replied, Of course. I use those things quite often. Sungmin pursed his lips, thinking, An intermediary association that even has a god as a client. What the hell are they? Neville extended his hand, proactively reading the customer's mind. So, what would you like to do, Sir Lee Sungmin? Would you like to become a member of Erebrisa? Sungmin clicked his tongue. I have nothing left to lose. So, without hesitation, he gave his answer. All right. I'll become a member. Neville swiftly took out a contract. You must sign here, and your thumbprint over there. He continued to instruct him. With this, Sir Lee Sungmin has officially become a member of Erebrisa. I will contact you later for business. But that wasn't all. Neville seemed to have more to say. Snap! And one more thing. In the blink of an eye, Sungmin's ragged clothes and messy, gloomy hair disappeared, replaced by a turtleneck shirt and a neat haircut. Neville said respectfully, I've tidied you up a bit, sir. Mercy finally commented, You look decent now. I really didn't like that hair of yours. It looked like you were copying mine. The procedures were complete. Neville took the opportunity. I will take my leave now. If you need me, please feel free to call. He didn't say much, simply replying, All right. Mercy continued to ask Sungmin, How do you like the gift? Do you like it? He emphasized, I like it very much, thank you. Mercy chuckled. You still speak so rudely to me, even at the end. Well, becoming a member of Erebrisa is a wonderful feat. You should be happy. Where are you planning to go now? Sungmin answered frankly, First of all, I think I'll head to Behenger. Mercy seemed to have some reservations. She huffed coldly and said, Whatever, just do as you please. And don't forget what I said when I was talking to myself. Sungmin started to walk away, carrying Mercy's words with him. A regression must have a reason. There's no such thing as a coincidence like that in Eria. That's what she said, but what did those words mean? The coincidences in my life, meeting Li Hoyan or meeting Baek Sogo, and receiving her help. Was that a coincidence? If that's true, then who is behind these events? I'm not going to worry about it anymore. It'll just give me a headache. After 3 years of training in the mountains, Sungmin had become a peak martial artist. As soon as he came down, he warmed up by sending some monsters to their graves. He withdrew his spear and muttered, If my body is currently 18 years old, people would think I'm a genius for becoming a peak martial artist at this age, but becoming a peak martial artist is the result of gifts and this hardship. Sungmin was eager. I still have a long way to go. If possible, I want to relive all my fateful encounters, and when I meet them, I must be stronger. His legs took long strides as he set a grand goal in his mind. My destination is Behenger. I must become a mercenary. The dream ignited his will. The expression on Sungmin's face was full of positivity. Behenger. That's where it truly begins. Enticing items came to mind. The depraved magic armor, found in the Black Sorcerer's dungeon near Behenger. It was discovered by C-rank mercenaries by chance. The ability of the depraved armor is incredible. C-rank mercenaries around rank 2 or 3 could instantly become peak martial artists. Desire stirred in Sungmin. If a peak martial artist got that armor, then they could become a transcendent martial artist. Sitting by the campfire, eating something, he thought, I could have done more on Mount Mercy, but I can't miss this opportunity. In half a year, this Black Sorcerer's dungeon will be cleared. Until then, while I'm in Behenger, I need to train to become a mercenary and join the raid at that time. Inside the bustling Behenger Mercenary Guild. What's that? You want to become a mercenary? Baron is the bartender here. He squinted, confused. But why are you telling a bartender like me? Seeing how eager Sungmin was, he suggested, if you want to become a mercenary, go upstairs. There's a receptionist there. I'm busy. A burly middle-aged man was sitting nearby. He roared with laughter. Why would a little kid like you want to become a mercenary, huh? Judging by your clothes, you must be from another world. Go wash some dishes or something. The man was talking so much he didn't notice what was in his hand. He turned back, eyes wide. Huh? Where's my fork? In a split second, Sungmin had snatched it. Baron's eyes widened in astonishment. He let out a long sigh, offering a bit of praise. A little bit of sword chi. That was a pretty clean catch. Are you a peak-level martial artist? Baron's attitude became much more formal. My apologies for my earlier words. Please, have a seat here. Hearing the name of Sungmin's skill, all the mercenaries present stared. Sword Ki? Is he a peak-level martial artist? Sungmin and Baron sat facing each other. The atmosphere was slightly tense. He was the one in charge here. He took the initiative to speak. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Baron, a mage. I'm the guildmaster of the Behenger Mercenary Guild branch. I have a hobby of being the bartender on the ground floor. Sungmin thought to himself, I know. That's why I came to talk to you. This is the first place I worked as a mercenary in my past life. Behenger. I see so many familiar faces. When Baron saw that he wasn't speaking, he continued. Normally, if a peak-level martial artist comes knocking on our mercenary guild's door, we grant them the position of an S-rank mercenary, but you're just a young man, inexperienced, and just recently finished training on a mountain somewhere. How are we supposed to know for sure? Yes, we need a warrior, so we need to verify your skills. You understand, don't you? For all that he said, Sungmin simply replied with a single word, yes. And Baron didn't seem to mind. He carefully took out a stack of yellow paper and handed it to him. All right, then. I'll give you a suitable mission. I'll also send another S-rank mercenary with you. So it won't be too difficult. If you complete this mission, and I will consider you qualified to become an S-rank mercenary. What do you say? This time, the answer was a bit longer. That's fine. Sungmin's job began the very next day. In a forest, someone struck up a conversation. You're not much of a talker, are you? Are you always like this? Sungmin, not in the mood for conversation, gave a brief reply. Yeah, I guess so. Inwardly, however, he was frustrated with himself after years of training alone on Mount Mercy. The other man grinned, teasing him. What a boring kid. When I saw you snatch that fork from that idiot in the guild, I thought you had a sense of humor. If you're this dull, how are you ever going to get the girls to like you, huh? Sungmin's face showed no reaction whatsoever, but that silence only made his handsome face more attractive. Laut had to admit Sungmin's aura was dazzling, so he denied his own thought. Nah, I'm sure you'll be popular. This man's name is Laut, an S-rank mercenary from the guild. I never spoke to him in my past life, but I'd heard of him. He's my partner, assigned by the guild to complete this mission with me. Maybe he's guiding me on what to do to complete the mission. Laut, wanting to keep the conversation going, asked another question. Do you have any questions for me? A knowing smile appeared on Laut's chiseled face. Have you ever fought an ogre before? Sungmin suddenly tensed up. Not yet. Ogres, one of the strongest monster species in Eria. They have magic resistance and skin as hard as metal. The objective of this mission is to take down an ogre near the village. It was spotted in the forest, so they requested the guild to deal with it. Laut walked ahead, leading the way. He declared confidently, 2 S-rankers are more than enough to handle 1 ogre. Don't you worry. After walking for a while, Laut found himself wondering, but this is strange. This forest is a bit small for an ogre to live in. Sungmin, not quite understanding, immediately asked, What do you mean? Laut raised his hand to illustrate. Think about it. An ogre is at least 3 meters tall. Even bigger ones can be up to 5 meters. They also need a lot of food, but it would be hard for one to find enough to eat in a forest this size. Suddenly, Sungmin frowned, his face dark with dread. "Wait a minute, Lout," he asked sharply. "What is it?" Then followed his gaze. At their feet was the corpse of a deer lying in a pool of red blood. Lout covered his nose and exclaimed, "This is horrible!" "Is this a deer?" Sungmin answered uncertainly. "Looks like it." Lout carefully crouched down to observe it up close, then made a judgment. "To be able to tear a living creature apart like this, I think only a monster like an ogre could do it." But Sungmin understood Laut's hesitation because he was just as confused. "There are no signs that the ogre ate it." He quickly added, "You're right, this is really strange. Besides, I don't see any waste. Doesn't that ogre digest its food?" The question had just been asked when suddenly the ground shook violently. Sungmin and Lute froze. From inside the forest opposite the clearing where they stood, something was rushing towards them. Lute and Sungmin quickly drew their weapons to defend themselves. The two exchanged a knowing glance, giving a signal. Sungmin, holding his spear, ran ahead, with Lute following close behind with his sword. One of them pushed off their heels to gain momentum. Above them, the ogre appeared, twice the size Lute had imagined. Just seeing its looming shadow was enough to make Lute and Sungmin freeze in their tracks. He was the most bewildered at this moment, screaming in absolute terror. "This is completely different from the rumors. Run! We can't handle this!" Gradually, the dust settled. Its muscular arms with long, sharp claws could be seen, along with its abnormally large and bulging muscles. Lute frantically warned, "And on its body many parts are joined together by iron stitches." The ogre was leaping up, preparing to pounce on the two of them. Its body was 4 or 5 times larger than Lute and Sungmin. He stammered for a moment before managing to shout, A chimera ogre!" Lee Sungmin was horrified. A chimera is a magical creature created to be a superior being. The limits that a creature is bound by can be broken when artificially mixed with another creature. So even a chimera created from an S-rank goblin would have a subjugation rating of B rank or higher because their danger level is impossible to measure. He thought worriedly, what if it was created from an ogre? Even an S-rank mercenary wouldn't stand a chance. Lee Sungmin and Lute broke out in a cold sweat. The chimera ogre had lifted a large tree trunk. It looked down, taunting him. Then it suddenly swung its arm down. He stared blankly at its enormous hand. Lute screamed in terror to wake him up. Lee Sungmin's eyes widened as he saw the hand about to reach him. Waiting for that exact moment, he seized the opportunity and jumped to the side. Shadowless spirit step, first form, traceless steps. Lute was stunned to see him escape the chimera's punch as fast as lightning. Ogre. Lee Sungmin was also surprised with himself. I'm so fast. Have I always been this fast? He realized that's right. This isn't the mountain of mercy. The gravity that was weighing me down is gone. If that's the case. Now he and the chimera ogre faced each other. It had no intention of letting Lee Sungmin go, and it continued to swing at him. He leaped up, using its arm to gain momentum, and shouted, Shadowless spirit step, second form shadow dance. He used its arm as a springboard to jump high. 9 heavenly spears. First form. He immediately drew his spear and used all his strength to execute the move. Soul-chasing spear! He gripped the spear tightly in his hands, repeatedly striking the chimera ogre's body with great force. So hard, its body was completely unscathed. It growled, glaring at him. Seeing Lee Sungmin struggling to attack the chimera ogre, Lute couldn't help but worry from afar, even after being hit by a sword chi strike. It's still not even scratched? He cursed silently. The reward for catching that monster is the same as for a regular ogre. It's not worth it at all, but it's too late to run now. I don't know how many chances we'll get. I have to join him. Suddenly, Lee Sungmin's voice echoed in his head. You don't have to do that, sir. Lute looked up towards him, suddenly realizing. Telepathy. He replied, Are you crazy? Your opponent is a chimera ogre, Lee Sungmin replied. I know. Lute worriedly warned him, You don't know shit. Didn't you say you've never fought an ogre before? It's barely feeling your attacks. It's even stronger than a 2-headed ogre. Yes, which means it's stronger than an S-rank subjugation target. Lee Sungmin remained resolute. Yes, I know. He thought to himself, but I wonder why. I feel like I can do this. He looked at the chimera ogre before him, a will to win flaring up inside him. Lee Sungmin immediately attacked. 9 heavenly spears. Second form, lightning-splitting spear. This move was stronger than the last. The spear tip struck down repeatedly, forcing it back. The chimera ogre's body was now covered in scorched wounds, but it still stood firm as a mountain. Lute's face paled as he shouted, "No, even that didn't scratch it. It's too tough." He trembled, not from the cold. At this rate, even if I join in, nothing will change. Looking at Lee Sung-min, who was still determined to fight to the end, he couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration. The chimera ogre's pupils flickered to the left. Unexpectedly, it was a feint to lure the tiger from the mountain. Lee Sung-min had quickly pointed his spear to the right. He pressed the spearhead hard against its body, using the momentum to launch himself into the air. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly as he wondered, are its eyes this tough too? Immediately, he gathered his strength and stabbed hard into the chimera ogre's eye. From a distance, Lute held his breath, watching. He now understood Lee Sung-min's plan. After blinding it by targeting its eye, he's striking right at the ogre's weak point. Watching him land lightly and then swiftly run to draw another weapon, Lute couldn't help but be shaken. That kid, how can he be so skilled at such a young age? By now, Lee Sung-min was standing at the chimera ogre's feet. It had broken his spear. Lee Sung-min encouraged himself. Well, at least part of the spear got through. I just have to keep going. Lee Sung-min faintly noticed something strange about the chimera ogre. The eye that had just been pierced was trembling. Then it healed as if nothing had happened. He froze. It healed itself? Lute, snapping out of his stupor, shouted a loud warning to Lee Sung-min. That's right, it's a troll, a chimera made from a troll. The chimera also has a troll's regeneration ability. He explained, an external wound won't defeat it at all. Hearing this, his will to defeat it became as hard as steel. He asked himself, what should I do now? Seeing the chimera ogres about to pounce on him, Lute screamed himself hoarse, while a crazed determination rose within Lee Sung-min. He remembered Baek Sogo, and a realization dawned on him. There were things he had to do. Looking at the ferocious chimera ogre before him, he told himself, I can't die. Not in a place like this. Lee Sung-min erupted with power, raising his spear high. Sung-min remembered Hoyeon's words. The 3 basic techniques of spearmanship. From now on, you must repeat these every single day, until they become second nature. His eyes trembled slightly. Sung-min stood before the charging chimera ogre. Uiji Hoyeon. I have repeated them again and again just as you told me to. The tip of his spear moved, touching its finger and instantly spinning into a circle of light. Now, let's confirm the results. Lan, the outward thrust, spinning the spear outward while launching an attack. The blow successfully halted the chimera ogre's advance. It hesitated, looking at the wound on its chest. In the blink of an eye, Sung-min had already thrust his spear forward. The chimera ogre counterattacked, unable to dodge in time. The two were now evenly matched. A sharp glint flashed in Sung-min's eyes. Nah, the inward thrust! Spinning the spear inward, while catching the opponent's attack. The spear tip touched its finger once more. The chimera ogre's arm was twisted by the spear's rotation. Lute couldn't help but be amazed. The chimera ogre had lost its advantage. Sung-min flicked his wrist slightly. Chill! The strike! His target was the knee. Sung-min spun his spear and thrust it straight in, even twisting it violently a few times. The chimera ogre couldn't bear it and let out a roar. Immediately after, Sung-min pulled his spear out and retreated. The attack was effective. So the joints really are weak. It lost its balance and collapsed to the ground. The chimera ogre's pupils revealed clear fear. It lashed out desperately with its claws. Sung-min dodged, his brows furrowing in annoyance. You bastard! How long does it take for a broken joint to recover, I wonder? Well, it doesn't matter. Once more, he pierced the chimera ogre's other knee. Sung-min snapped the spear shaft, leaving it inside. He calculated the situation before him. Before it can recover, I just have to keep attacking relentlessly. Besides, a wound with something embedded in it can't regenerate. Sung-min glanced at the chimera ogre and mumbled, That's right, isn't it? Following that momentum, he stabbed the chimera ogre's right shoulder. Sung-min took out another spear. With this, both its legs and its right arm are immobilized. Once it was restrained, attacking would be easy. Even so, Sung-min was still a little tense. Once again, a flurry of techniques was unleashed. 9 heavenly spears, second form, shadowless lightning chase. The chimera ogre was seen stumbling back, A loud roar erupted as it counterattacked with its remaining arm, sharp claws slashing down violently. Sung-min retaliated without flinching, making a mental note. It's so slow. No, wait. Have I gotten faster? I don't feel weighed down anymore. The sound of cicadas buzzed in his ears. Sung-min frowned, contorting his body.
I can hear cicadas. That's the same static I heard back on the training mountain. I don't want to become a cicada. I was definitely a pupa back on that mountain. But I didn't curl up and turn into a cicada. If that's the case, what is it that I want to become? I don't know. But just being a cicada won't be enough to satisfy me. I don't want to have any regrets. I had more than enough of that in my previous life. I still can't know what awaits me at the end of the path I'm walking. But I just have to be prepared and keep moving forward, Dio, all the way to the end. Luth's jaw dropped in amazement. Sung-min leaned on his spear, panting heavily. He stared at the slain chimera ogre and stammered. Just what in the world are you? He seemed to snap out of his trance, the tension in his face easing as he looked up at the sky. Sung-min thought to himself, let's see now. His hands were calloused and covered in scratches. A small smile appeared on Sung-min's face. At least, he muttered to himself, I'm not a larva. His words made Luth freeze. A moment later, his face broke into a grin and he laughed. What are you even talking about? What an interesting kid. Sung-min glanced at the cicada carcass on the ground, and his mood lifted. The buzzing had stopped completely, and Baron was staring in their direction with a bewildered look on his face. Luth was excitedly boasting about the chimera ogre they'd acquired. Baron thought to himself, capturing a chimera ogre is equivalent to an SS rank feat, but the problem is, until now, there's no precedent for awarding an SS rank for this. Sung-min gave a slight nod in reply. If that's the case, then S rank is fine. It doesn't really matter, so I'll just go with it. In his head, he was already calculating and organizing the reward from capturing the chimera ogre. The prize money was 27 million minus a 10% fee for the S rank mercenary token. Sung-min contemplated his next steps. He had handed over the chimera ogre's corpse to the mercenary guild for research. The payment for the handover was 20 million Luth presented the sum to him with both hands. Of course, you should take all of it. I didn't contribute anything. Sung-min nodded in satisfaction. Thank you. A total of 47 million He then calmly departed. As he walked, Sung-min stared at the coin. 47 million It's an amount that feels completely unreal. He recalled his past life. Even when he risked his life to complete a mission, he would only get around 1 million or 120,000 Sung-min thought this over as he put the coin in his pouch. What should I do with this money now? Just then, his eyes caught sight of something. Sung-min simply took a spear out of his pouch. Elsewhere, a voice rang out. Baron, with his arms crossed, posed a question. So, what did you think? Luth gave a short reply. Well, he was pretty okay. He pointed to his own head. Regardless, it's better to see it for yourself. Baron agreed. You're right. He began to cast a spell, and Luth's memories were transferred into Baron's mind. He let out an exclamation of awe, then repeated for confirmation, That's really not the power of an S rank. Luth grumbled from the side, I told you to just give him the SS rank, didn't I? Baron nodded thoughtfully and explained, Let me try to petition for it. This isn't something I can decide on my own. So this guy went from being classless to a top-tier master in just 4 years, huh? Meanwhile, Sung-min is now in a place that John would probably kill for. He called out, Neville! A stir came from the ground. Neville rose from his shadow and spoke respectfully. It's a pleasure to meet you, Sir Lee Sung-min. How may I be of service? Sung-min recalled the time he first got that spear. He thought to himself, I never really had any attachment to this weapon. As long as it could swing and stab, any spear was fine. But after fighting Augur, I feel differently. If I had a better weapon, I probably could have taken him down much more easily. I don't want to end up in a bad situation just because my weapon isn't good enough. So, I need a weapon. I need a good weapon. Neville began to inquire, Would you prefer to buy or commission one, sir? And what is your estimated budget? He replied calmly, The budget is around 47 million and I'd like to have it commissioned. Unexpectedly, Neville commented, That budget isn't very generous, is it? This remark annoyed Sung-min a little. It's 47 million. He explained, The blacksmiths in Eria are all top tier in their field, so their services are bound to be expensive. If you were to use your soul as collateral, Sir Lee Sungmin, you could borrow a rather large sum of money. The interest rate is quite low. Sungmin immediately refused. No, that's not necessary. I won't buy one. Is it possible to just browse first? Neville pointed to a notice board. If that's the case, there is someone available for a private trade right now. Would you like to meet them immediately? Then I'll leave it to you. A beam of light shot from Neville's finger, forming a glowing portal in front of Sungmin. Neville retreated back into the shadow. I shall take my leave for a moment. He nodded and replied simply, All right. What is this? Did he just tear open space? All that power from just a broker? And what in the world is Eria? Suddenly a voice spoke out. What's this? It's a little boy. I am Senjuros. I don't know how much you can see of me, but you should at least know my name. Aren't you going to come in? Don't just stand there, frozen. Her appearance surprised Sungmin. A dark elf? Okay. He stepped through the spatial gate, introducing himself. I am Lee Sungmin. I'd like to commission a spear. Oh? Senjuros asked in return. Do you have a particular shape in mind? Sungmin took out a spear. It would be great if you could make it in this shape. She glanced at it and remarked, Ah, a central plane-style spear. Can you show me how you use a spear? The request confused Sungmin. Huh? Why would I? Showing one's martial arts to others is taboo for a martial artist. But Senjuros just explained nonchalantly, because I need to know what kind of techniques you use. Only then can I craft something suitable for you. Different martial arts require different details, so it's absolutely necessary. Sungmin, still skeptical, asked again, You'll watch my techniques and then craft the spear accordingly? Senjuros nodded and replied, Listen, kid, I'm 400 years old. I enjoy using a hammer, so I've been in this trade for the past 355 years. Although my starting point was a bit different from naturally gifted blacksmiths like the dwarves. This confession was completely unexpected for Sungmin. Senjuros then continued, But it's also true that for the past 355 years I have lived as a blacksmith. I'm confident that I'm in no way inferior to a dwarf. Sungmin was completely stunned. He recalled a memory of himself with Hoyon. You and I have different starting points, after all. He then smiled and thought to himself, She's so similar. Meanwhile, Senjuros suddenly spoke up. Seriously? I don't know what's wrong with me today, bringing a kid like you here and spouting all this nonsense. If you don't like it, then leave. Go ask a dwarf blacksmith. Sungmin quickly replied, I'll show you. I'll show you my martial arts right now. Hearing this, Senjuros remarked, You changed your mind pretty fast, didn't you? Usually others would stay skeptical and just leave. He smiled and explained, Well, you said you've been putting in the effort for 355 years. The two of them fell silent for a moment until Senjuros burst out laughing. Aren't you a little too trusting? Sungmin went along with it, replying, That's a first. The first time anyone's ever called me trusting. Senjuros smiled at him, then turned and walked away, remarking, You've got a silver tongue, don't you? The truth was, Senjuros could no longer hold back her smile. So much so that she had to use her hand to pull down the corners of her mouth and put on a cool expression as she looked at Sungmin. Kid, I like you. I'm a man who likes to be fair, but this time, I have to forge an item that's worth more than what I was paid. You're definitely going to become a regular of mine. Sungbin recalled Senjuros' words. It'll take a few months to finish forging. I'll just have to wait patiently. He was training at that moment, thinking to himself, The fight with the Chimera Augur was my first true battle against a top-tier master. I learned so much from it. Now I just need to make that knowledge my own. Sungbin then recalled something from the past. You've got a good eye. This should be called a talent. From what I can tell, what they call talent, a sixth sense, my 5 senses, I can feel them all again now. After my senses were sealed during my mountain training, they were all converted into a skill. And during the fight with Augur, I started to feel it a bit. This feeling that flows unconsciously through my body, that must be the sixth sense. It's an incredible power, but I can't rely on it too much. Even though the mountain training sharpened my emotions and my 6 senses, the rest of my senses haven't had any breakthroughs. Touch, smell, taste, hearing, and the 6th sense. I have to resolve this imbalance between them. If I can't, things might never get back on the right track. Later that afternoon, at the mercenary guild, Baron asked seriously, What's going on? Are you already off to take on another mission? Sungbin calmly replied, No, what's the status of the Chimera Augur's corpse? Hearing this, Baron poured him a drink and continued, Oh, you're interested too? I guess that makes sense. If it's a chimera, then someone must have created it. It's a bit difficult for me to investigate on my own, so I'm cooperating with the Magic Guild to investigate it. Sungbin began to think to himself again. In my past life, I never found out about the Chimera Augur. Either no one took the mission, or someone definitely did, but was killed by the Augur. Looking at the situation now, it seems that in about half a year, the Master of Hell will be discovered as the one who created the Augur. Or maybe that person was the one who summoned the Chimera in my past life. As long as I can kill it, then maybe I can change the future. I'd also like to see the corpse. They went to the Heaven's Guild together. A voice welcomed them. A pleasure to meet you. Sungmin was slightly surprised as he observed Jonghyun. The man turned his head, looked at Sungmin, and smiled as he introduced himself. Dark Mage Kim Jonghyun. I'm Kim Jonghyun. You must be surprised, huh? I was just engrossed in examining the Chimera's corpse. Sungmin replied calmly, I'm Lee Sungmin, the one who killed the Chimera. Jonghyun asked, Oh? Are you Korean? Even if we are, the chances of us being in the same dimension are low. In your world, do teleportation gates open? Hearing this, Sungmin couldn't help but feel confused. Teleportation gate? What's that? Jonghyun began to explain. A gate connecting to this dimension appeared, which led to a swarm of demons appearing, but anyway, so you're from a different dimension than I am. Still, it's really nice to meet you. It's been a while since I've met another Korean, so I'm really happy. Actually, that's not the only reason I'm happy. Sungbin asked worriedly, What do you mean by that? Jonghyun smiled brightly and brushed it off. It's nothing. So what brings you here? Sungbin explained with a frown, I came to see the Chimera's corpse. The future has taken a completely different path. I need to gather more information so I can plan my next move. Hearing this, Jonghyun continued with a mysterious air, You have to tell me what you discover, because it was already dead before it got here. So it's hard to draw any conclusions. The Chimera was hit by a lot of high-level magic. The dark mage who created it must be on the level of an archmage. Also, its mouth was cruelly sewn shut. It was being starved purely to test its abilities. Sungbin began to understand. So that's why. That's why it didn't eat the deer. It just tore it apart and left it there. Jonghyun continued, That's the gist of it. You and I have the same goal, to find out what kind of scheme that mage is plotting by experimenting so cruelly on this monster. But I doubt you care that much about it. Sungbin looked at him with suspicion, then spoke. So what were you about to say earlier? You said that wasn't the only reason you were happy. Jonghyun replied nonchalantly, Oh, it's nothing special. It's just that your law of causality is distorted. This comment completely stunned Sungmin. How did you... Jonghyun explained, half joking. Oh, so you already knew? That's unexpected. You know, dark mages can see souls. If I were in your shoes, I would have gone insane by now. You should just die. Do you even understand what that means? Sungbin cautiously stepped back. That you'll suffer for all eternity after you die. Jonghyun nodded. Something like that. I wonder why your law of causality is so skewed. Could you share a little with me? Filled with suspicion, Sungbin shot back. Why should I tell you? Why should I trust you? Jonghyun began to negotiate. I'll tell you something you don't know. Should I make a mana oath? I swear that I will never reveal anything I hear from you to anyone. Sungbin was once again taken by surprise. He thought to himself, he's right. I really don't know what's going on with me right now. And he even made a mana oath. This might actually be a good opportunity. I'm a returner. Jonghyun looked a bit confused in response. Returned from the dead? Perhaps that's why your law of causality is so twisted. Life and death. If you break that fundamental rule, you'll have to face a terrible retribution. But all you know right now is that your causality is skewed. So I suppose I can tell you this much more. But you're much stranger than that. It's not just that your causality is skewed. The space around them suddenly warped. Sungmin's expression turned grim as the truth began to unfold. Jonghyun tilted his head, looking at him before remarking, I guess not. I don't think I can tell you after all. Sungbin pressed on, curious, what do you mean? He explained gently, if I tell you, I'll die. Sungbin couldn't hide the concern on his face. Jonghyun's voice trembled as he explained, to put it simply, it seems your life doesn't belong to you. Sungbin was then thrown out. He recalled Jonghyun's earlier words, sorry, but please come find me next time. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you. I'm a bit flustered right now, so I think I need to sort out my thoughts. Sung-min wondered to himself, what the hell is going on? He remembered Jong Hyun's other words. Stop! This is my domain. Back off, unless you want to die with me. His confusion only grew. Sung-min finally turned his head when he heard a voice calling him. Greeting him was Scarlet, with a smile. You're the kid from the mountain, right? Long time no see. You've grown up fast, haven't you? Sung-bin's eyes widened as he asked back, Who are you? His words successfully enraged her. What? You don't remember me? Unbelievable. It's Scarlet Lesir. You don't remember? I'm the one who taught you magic. Sung-min thought back to the Scarlet he had met, a giant question mark appearing over his head. She was under a no-bathing curse. The space fell silent for a long moment before he gave a shocking reply. Don't lie to me. Immediately after, Sung-min took a punch to the face from Scarlet. The blow successfully jogged his memory. It's been a while, Scarlet, she replied, satisfied. That's right. Anyway, it's good to see you again. What brings you here? Did you become a magician too? He explained nonchalantly. No. I'm here on personal business. Scarlet glanced towards the door while questioning him. Business? Don't tell me it's about that lunatic Kim Jong-hyun. He was so surprised that he asked, You know him? Unexpectedly, she lost her composure and shouted, Of course I know him. All dark magicians are the same, but he's on another level. He's extremely dangerous. He's a complete madman who's lost all reason. If you can, stay out of trouble with him. You're on your own. But be careful. Sung-bin replied politely, Yes, thank you for your concern. She smiled, satisfied. Anyway, I'm really glad we could meet again after so long. I'm busy today, so I have to go. If you have time, come visit me. My research lab is on the 3rd floor. If you come, I'll treat you to some tea. If you get bored, remember to come see me. He stood rooted to the spot, waving at Scarlet. Sung-min thought to himself, Lesir's words and Kim Jong-hyun, they couldn't speak freely either. It feels so vague. It's strange how everyone is so willing to be kind to me. There's something... Is this some kind of obvious truth I'm not seeing? But what is all this, really? The room fell silent. Sung-min thought to himself, I don't know. There's too much going on in my head. It's all so chaotic and complicated. First, I need to focus on what's right in front of me. 2 heads times 2. Difficulty 5. Reward 50 million error. And Loot, waving his hand in welcome. We meet again. Loot, Sung-min noted to himself. He was there when we took down the trolls last time. Loot declared in a loud voice. This time, I'll show everyone my true power. Sung-min nodded with a satisfied look. Then I'll be counting on you. Another new connection. I've learned something in this second life. People can't live alone. I've been pushing away those who tried to get close to me. Loot is a pretty good companion to have along. Having someone by my side for a long time has brought some comfort to my hardened heart. 3 months passed just like that. The money was placed on the table with the words, This commission must have been a lot of trouble for you. Your share is 50 million era. Sung-min smiled gently and replied, Thank you. As soon as Loot received the money, he immediately suggested, Let's go for a drink. But Baron seemed to remember something. Anyway, there's someone who wants to meet you. Sung-min asked back curiously, Who is it? But Loot was still insisting, I said let's go for a drink. The name Baron revealed was the Guildmaster of the Flare Mercenaries, John. Both Sung-min and Loot were surprised to hear that. Baron spoke again. Do you know him? Yes, I do, Sung-min thought to himself. There's no way I wouldn't know him. The Flare Mercenary Guild is a large guild with over 100 members. He's one of the 3 SS-Rank mercenaries in Behenger and a supreme master of the Shaolin 100 Steps Divine Fist. He was a man I deeply admired in my past life. Among countless heroes, the reason I admired him was because... John spoke, puffing out a cloud of smoke. Nice to meet you. You're Lee Sung-min, right? I'm John, Guildmaster of the Flare Mercenaries. You're classless too, aren't you? That's cool, Sung-min thought to himself, because he also started out as classless and became a powerful supreme master. A master I've always aspired to become, is right in front of me. After a moment, John spoke. You're 18, right? I know you're classless. This world is harsh for people like us, but to become a supreme master at such a young age, you're truly talented. Enough with the small talk. Let's get straight to the point. Join the Flare Mercenary Guild with us. You caught the Chimera Augur and have made quite a name for yourself. You could immediately become an SS-Rank mercenary. I'll make you the Vice Guildmaster. Come and work under me. Why the sudden offer? It's making my head spin. I'll help you. Take a look at this, then make your decision. Sungmin's eyes were glued to the item in his hand. That is, John explained directly with a proud look on his face. This is a lesser completion pill. You've probably heard of it, right? The lesser completion pill. An elixir from the Shaolin Temple. If you take it, you'll gain a massive amount of internal energy. You just have to agree to a few simple conditions below. And I'll give it to you. Sungmin hesitated and asked, Conditions? John pushed a piece of paper forward while continuing, Sign this contract. He picked it up and began to read. Must always obey John's orders. He asked back, Simple, isn't it? This contract doesn't have any special magical effect, but if you violate it, you'll have to bear various responsibilities. The binding level is quite high. This great completion pill will help you advance your power to a new level. Has anyone actually agreed to these conditions? John muttered, repeating, Agreed? If you want to be a mercenary in Behanger, that's how it is. Lute eagerly asked after hearing the story, So what did you decide? Sungmin calmly explained, Of course I refused. There's no way I could sign something like that slave contract. He continued with satisfaction, Good. That's good. Very good. If something like this happened, I'd rather leave Behanger. Was it that surprising? Sungmin was taken aback by the comment. Lute began to explain, That's right. In this situation, your life is in danger. John, that bastard holds a grudge. He always wants to control others and will do anything to get his way. All the A-rank members in his mercenary guild are under his control. And if he can't control someone, he'll hate them. He's a real piece of work. Back when John was S-rank and I was A-rank, I once refused his movement for the annual mercenary activities. After that, he sabotaged all of my missions. Because the missions in this city are controlled by the Flare Mercenary Guild, so you should go to another city. Reach S-rank, then come back. That guy has already reached SS-rank. After hearing all this, Sungmin fell into deep thought. He frowned, thinking, I never expected John to be that kind of person. It feels complicated, learning the dark side of someone I admired. At that moment, Lute, who was beside him, kept trying to persuade him, So, how about coming with me to Mr. There, until a conversation interrupted him. Have you heard the news? The people in the tavern were talking amongst themselves. They've discovered the dungeon of the heretic sorcerer. It's the dungeon of the heretic sorcerer, Chimera Augur. I heard they're forming a party to conquer it, right? The main force is the Flare Mercenary Guild. But from inside the warehouse, a voice rang out. This is taking longer than I thought. Sungmin saw the tense look on Senzeros and said, It's all right, there's no rush, she replied without stopping her work. It only took this long because you changed your mind a bit halfway through. Here, take it. I mainly used mithril with an outer layer of super hard black steel. This material absorbs mana and force very well, so it'll be much easier to use your sword aura. What do you think? Just then, Neville walked in from outside. You seem quite pleased with it. Sungmin shot him a questioning glance. What? No, I'm not. Neville just smiled and explained, The materials used to make this spear were ridiculously expensive, you know. Even though Lee Sungmin kept giving us more money he earned along the way. And to invest in a better weapon, almost all of it went into the material costs. To be blunt, we basically gave this to you for free. But I guess that's just how it is. I can sort of understand why. For some reason, Sir Lee Sungmin has this strange charm about him, the kind that makes others want to help him. I don't mean that in a bad way, so please don't worry. I've been rambling, haven't I? Well, I'll be taking my leave now. If you need anything, feel free to call me anytime. Hearing those words, his footsteps halted. Sungmin's face was visibly distraught. It wasn't that he was shocked because he'd mistaken Neville's words for something malicious. Neville's comment had somewhat confirmed the suspicions he had had before. The first time I felt that strangeness, that gap, was on Mount Mosh. But back then, I just thought I was lucky. Let's just say, just suppose, if I really do have some kind of special privilege, if that thing makes it easy for me to gain favor from others, then does that mean all the relationships I've built this whole time are actually fake? Suddenly, Laut appeared out of nowhere. Lee Sungmin, where have you been? Laut went silent, seeing Sungmin's pale face. He looked completely bewildered, while Sungmin thought to himself, if my suspicion is correct, then my relationship with this kid, Laut, is indeed. Suddenly, Laut threw an arm around his shoulder and said, What's this? What's wrong? You look so tense. Are you worried about the dungeon raid? I told you not to worry. I'm going with you, after all. Sungmin's eyes went vacant, as if his soul had left his body. A dungeon raid. So, in the end, the future timeline has changed, just as I feared. Because I killed the Chimera Augur, the guild started investigating the Dark Mage. The dungeon was discovered 3 months earlier than in my past life, and other things have changed along with it. Someone else appeared from behind. You're here too, huh? Since the Rising Star is joining this time, this raid should be a piece of cake. From what he knew about the man in front of him, he was a veteran of the Flare Mercenary Guild. In his past life, the Flare Mercenary Guild couldn't participate in the dungeon raid. They were away on a distant campaign. But now, because the raid was moved up by 3 months, they can join. John looked at Lout and remarked, So Lout is here too, huh? Long time no see, kid. You been doing okay? Lout bowed his head. Yes, it's been a while, sir. Meanwhile, John ruffled his hair condescendingly. Be careful. It's dangerous inside the dungeon. You never know where or how you might die. Sungmin understood the hidden meaning and glared at him. Then the two of them watched the group leave.